or tomorrow probably, right? Is it tomorrow, Ms. Pendro? Is that information going out tomorrow regarding registration or next week?
It's gonna be after the break.
After the break. But they will be, it's important for our families to take a look at that information, be able to register, not only for students, but it's also for anybody in the family. It's a unique opportunity, and it was ironic, there was an email came today, other schools are gonna start doing it. We're the first that's doing it right now. And Metro Community Health is a local organization. They were able to do medical, dental, mental health appointments, vaccinations, testing, health screenings, and so on. The nice thing is it's a continuity of services throughout, and they'll support all the families. And if costs are an issue, they will work with you on that for sure. They're going to take everything. So it's a unique opportunity that we're going to have for the district and for the community. And that's all I have for tonight. Any questions? All right, I guess to the best part of our evening, right?
The student of the month.
Who's first? Is that Carrie?
Kelly.
Kelly?
Randy Kelly? Okay.
I didn't touch.
Oh, you could just, they normally just stand on the side right here. And if you're, whoever our student would be, oh, you all get so shy whenever it's time for you to shine.
And that's not who she is. We're gonna read all this.
She's like all these
Ms. Bayless, why
people.
don't you introduce yourself to some of the board?
Hi, I'm Miss Bayless. I'm a first grade teacher over at Kelly. This is my fifth year. So I like it here. I love first grade. It's my favorite grade.
You can stand next to Miss Bayless.
Isabella,
Stand next to her.
Aw. This is Isabella Carter. She is, of course, one of our first grade students. She's been with our district since pre-K 3 or just 4?
He did 2 years.
2 years pre-K, so she's been with us for a long time. So that's an amazing thing for us. I did write kind of a lot, I'm sorry, but I can't keep it short with this one. You know, I'm sure mom knows there's a lot to Isabella. Isabella has been such an amazing student. She consistently comes into the classroom with a positive attitude and ready to tackle the day, usually. Anyways, you always know how Isabella is feeling the moment she walks into the room. She is full of energy, attitude, spunk, and especially smarts. Isabella came into first grade already exceeding a lot of expectations because she's been with us since pre-K. By October, Isabella was reading at a level N, which is actually a 3rd grade reading level. So she's already. Her love of reading has impacted the way Isabella thinks. She is so creative and imaginative. During her enrichment win time, Isabella is always the star of the Reader's Theater, adding in emotions and voices to the characters. Not only is she a great actress, but she is an amazing author who writes expansive and detailed stories. Her most recent story was about a prince trying to rescue a princess, correct? And now that sounds like any old fairy tale. However, she adds in her little witty and sassy dialogue between her characters, and also even includes her Spanish words in there too, like, sí, amigo. Isabella brings a lot of noise wherever she goes. Whether it is singing, acting, or just being silly by herself or with her friends, she is everything we strive for our students to be. She is always showing her peers how to be kind, safe, and ready. She asks for help when she needs it, communicates her needs, and is always asking questions to answer her curious mind. I am so proud to say that I am Isabella's teacher this year, and so impressed with how much she has grown already. I can't wait to see how many great things she will accomplish in the years to come. I will always be rooting for you. And I would like to say too, her mom is also a wonderful, supportive parent, so that's a huge help too. She does some great things with Isabella outside of school too, and she's been a lot of help with our parent committee too that
I was gonna say,
started
I
around.
would like to thank Felicia Davis, who is
Yeah.
Bella's mom, for being the chairman of the Wilkinsburg Parent Organization. So thank you, Mom.
And to add,
Take a picture with
talk about Miss Davis, she also has one other daughter, right?
And son.
And son.
I have
Three.
kids, so.
Goes to Drexel.
My son's graduating Penn State
Penn
this
State.
year. I have a daughter who's graduating all the guys.
Yeah. Want your sister in there too?
That's smile.
Shine is fully, she's terrible.
Awesome.
Okay, Paris. Right, this is Paris Hamlin. Paris Hamlin is a student in Miss Shulo's third grade classroom. The first thing you notice about Paris is she is always smiling. She comes to school every day with a smile and a positive attitude, ready to learn. Every morning, she volunteers to hold the doorway and greets all staff and students as they proceed to the breakfast line. She is my little helper every day. We look for each other to make sure we're both doing our job. Some of Paris' best qualities include kindness, generosity, attentiveness, and perseverance in class. Paris is a joy to have as a student and is a terrific role model for her peers. Congratulations. Okay, there you go. All right.
Picture.
Okay, can we get a picture of Paris? The Paris has a lot.
That could be a very good.
He's already completed, he's already better.
Congratulations.
Very well.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Very good.
And the first committee, they all have a. Okay, and curriculum committee, test prep, both, that the kids go over and talk about that. You'll see that we're gonna vote tonight on adding the third grade to Haggerty Bridge to Writing, as well as the professional development for that Bridge to Writing. So we discussed that. Now, if you remember last month, we did K through second. Same program, we're just adding the third grade and we're adding the professional development component along with that. We had conference requests. Charmaine, do you remember anything specific about conference requests They are listed in there.
I would say not there.
Feels like 2 months ago.
Yes.
One of them was the project-based learning 2-day conference. There's some travel costs in there.
I know one of those, I think one that she goes all the time.
Yeah, a lot of them are like required, but we'll be voting to those.
The federal program.
Yeah.
Federal programs and staff training.
There's a field trip, the Build Fly Code, that is happening April 15th. We talked about that. How many?
So first it was a team of 6 students, but they had more room. So there will be a team of 12 students. And so teachers go for that.
And they're going to IUP.
And there was a 30-person bus, so we had that.
I'm sorry.
Wasn't it a 30-person bus, and we had basically half of the bus?
There'll be 12 students plus, I believe there's about 4 teachers going for those 12 students.
We did in curriculum talk about the eclipse, so we did.
And that's
Agreed.
even the busing costs will be covered for that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That entire trip is covered, yeah.
Is that all we can take? It's just the 12?
Yes. Yeah. Because it's a full day activity that's incorporating drone and flying and coding. So we'll be actually working on like a project. And so people that they're bringing sets of 6. We were lucky that they were able to take 2 times.
We have the Effective School Solutions Trauma Attuned Model. I don't think we're voting this one, but right?
Yeah.
Oh, we are? Okay. Two teachers will be trained in that. I'm so sorry. I'm not as good with this as I thought it was. This is from, we already have that contract with them, the Effective School Solutions, where they have the
Yes, the social workers, in there with so they're gonna be doing trauma attuned model for 10 teachers in each building.
yeah. Yeah, so this is professional development for the teachers that go along with these trauma-informed models. Tonight, we're also voting on the Power School Naviance CCLR. That is that career readiness platform. So up until this point, we've been using pen and paper for that for our students. This is a program that PPS also uses. So what's nice about it is that anything that's we're putting into it will just transfer over with their record when they do go to PPS.
We have to follow, this will help adhere to the 339 plan. We have our career readiness. So we're required, every school is required to track how are we addressing career development from K through 12. So, and there has to be a record of that.
And Charmaine, I did go look at their data privacy policy and they're not selling any data.
That's what you were like, wait a minute.
We didn't ask that question in curriculum and I went and looked, yeah. Jeanette gave us a Title I budget review and she has agreed to come to the parent organization meeting next month. I think I haven't heard back from her. I think.
Yes.
Oh, I just can't see you,
And
yeah.
I'm bringing Mrs. Price or the school psychologist. We have a little bonus for everyone.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then we did talk about upcoming community events. There's a lot of stuff going on April 20th. There's the Strong Neighborhoods Resource Fair. There's the Great American Cleanup. And then we also discussed the Westinghouse volunteer forms and opportunities. And I wanted to say thank you to the principals for getting out a similar flyer today. Rachel said that it's on the website. I meant to bring it with me, but I did see it come home today. And so it does, this is how you get your clearances and this is how you sign up to do volunteer opportunities in the schools. So I'm very excited to have that. And then my son is in the Edgewood Scouts. So we talked about Edgewood Scouts too. They're interested in more scouts. It is not single gender. It's all genders from K through 5th. And then once they hit 6th grade, then it's Boy Scouts. So, yeah.
And there's Girl Scouts at Wilkinsburg Family Support Center.
Correct. Yeah. Any questions about anything we're going to be?
The one behind, what is that? Wilkinsburg Family Support Center, is that behind?
House.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
your Hosanna House, they meet
I was thinking
the,
Wesley. I was
they meet
thinking
the
Wesley.
fourth Monday. We did it last year. This is the second year. We did it last year. We didn't do it this year, but it's the fourth Monday at the Hosanna House from 6:30 to 8:30.
What grade does that start? Kindergarten?
Okay.
No, they got them at
Is it-
K
is it-
all the way up. What
okay.
happened up there is they didn't have enough volunteers for the older kids. So
Okay.
they do have a bunch of little kids, but you don't see any older groups.
The Browns
Gotcha.
and the juniors and the,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they don't have enough,
what is it, juniors and cadets are the older
coaches,
two?
Yeah.
counselors for those.
If
Yeah.
anybody wants to come speak at the parent organization, I think, try and get you more.
Yeah, because I just spoke with a Girl Scout troop that's out in Monroe, and I was like, I know there's one at ECS too.
Yeah.
But I didn't know there was one in the Hosanna House. I only knew of the ECS one, so I'm curious how many parents just don't know. When I did it was at Johnston.
Nobody
Yeah, I
really
went to
knows
Johnston
what
for
goes
Girl
on at Campus
Scouts.
Great Family Support Center.
Yeah, okay.
So is there a way for us to start crossing any line to make sure our families know, for the girls, that that's available?
We
now?
can get a flyer, like a recruitment flyer, that's what I did with the Edward Scouts, and get them to the principals and have them sent home.
And maybe
Yeah,
also
that'd be
for
great.
parents to sign up if they want to volunteer, because it sounds like they also need adults.
And see if we can get somebody to come from them to speak at the parent organization.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
The girl's name is Nataj Jones, and I can reach out to her.
that'd be great. And you can give them my contact info.
And would you ask if they have cookies left?
Sorry.
With the rate of giving them away.
I know.
Just make sure you grab me one.
Well, I know they just sold cookies March 2nd down at Wally's, but I'll ask if she has some more.
Okay, all right,
Oh, I guess, I don't know if this is the best time to say it, but I know Gwen's Girls is, I think, moving from Johnston to, Community Forge over to nearby the library.
to their building, yeah.
Yeah, we could do the same thing that we would do with Wilkinsburg Family Sports Center for Gwen's Girls as well.
Yeah, it's not bad.
They ain't moving no time soon yet, though.
Oh, I thought it was already in.
No, I think it's another
They gotta
year. I
renovate.
think
Yeah,
it's
they gotta
another
renovate and
year,
everything.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, when I was in there, it was just,
They just did the groundbreaking.
yeah.
They just did the groundbreaking. They won't be in there for about another year or so.
Oh.
We
Okay.
also participate in that as well.
If I had girls, got 2 boys, so I'll be all of it. I just do like the mental health department.
Okay, the Kelly renovation ad hoc committee report, that's all you, Ed.
Yes, so, I just got these today, so they'll be uploaded for you, 3 pages of very detailed notes from probably the best meeting we've had so far about Kelly, and that was on Friday the 15th, and we actually had in the gym at Kelly, probably 25 people.
Yeah.
So the whole architecture team was there, the whole 10 team was there, the whole administration team was there, and Wallenkamp was there, so everybody that we needed to be able to make, except somebody with like a whole lot of money to give us, but everybody we needed there to have a successful, productive meeting was there. Really good questions answered. I was really impressed at how much work DLA, the architects, had already done. And I don't think they're even technically under contract yet. Cover your ears, Matt. So they're into it, And so they got a lot of input on changes to make, additions, revisions to the whole drop-off pickup plan. Buses are here, cars are there, walkers are there, looking at safety. It was a really, really exciting, productive meeting. So the notes are kind of dry, but they'll be uploaded for you. Meetings now, where I knew this would happen, are going to bump up to every other week. And to accommodate the working professional folks, they're going to be at 11 a.m. every other Thursday from now till we cut a ribbon on the building.
The first one will be this Thursday.
The first one is this Thursday, yeah.
11 a.m. to when?
So when they're done.
11 till, 11 till, I don't know.
Probably
So,
noon. I mean, it's
Probably
probably gonna
not.
be pretty tight, yeah.
Let's see, the architect is already working on this. They're starting the scanning inside the building, which will help with a lot of important things. But the cool part of that is they're going to be able to produce that sort of fly-through video. That'll be virtually walking through the building and what it will be like when they're finished with it. So that will be really helpful to the community, to parents in the future, and for talking to foundations, to show them exactly what we want to do. and why we're asking for money. Meeting schedules, let's see, every other Thursday. Oh, and thank heavens, you all will appreciate this in the future. Ms. Bogate will now take over coordinating meetings and taking notes. So you will actually have some, instead of me doing that. So that's a big asset. So anything that I'm missing,
Did
yeah.
you say the first meeting is this Thursday?
Correct.
Yes.
Where at?
It's virtual. It's virtual.
I was gonna say, cause the schools is closed.
Yeah. I didn't know that part, but yeah, they're virtual.
Yeah, because the team is distributed, right? So it's like, 10, the architects, us, and so it's virtual.
Okay.
What's the?
I'm sorry, it's not it's not this Thursday.
Calendar for this Thursday.
I thought it was this Thursday. I thought we were avoiding Easter holiday things. Isn't it?
I thought we were
It
too,
starts
but it ended up showing up on my calendar as well.
Double check. I'll confirm that tomorrow. I thought it was the 3rd. Isn't it? It's the 3rd is Thursday?
No, that's the Wednesday.
Sorry, everybody.
I thought you're, Ed, and I just noticed today, we both noticed it was on our calendar, but I thought he said.
I thought it for my calendar also, but I thought that was an error. So I'll double check that and confirm.
And then that probably brings up a good point. We'll probably start discussing things about like how we'll start scheduling meetings for the public, right? I mean, like that's coming. And
All of that is coming up, and it's gonna happen quickly. Oh, there's a meeting, next week already. I was able to hook up. We owe, thanks to, Renee Haynes Johnson,
Yes.
Chair of the Planning Commission, because she, was able to bump us way up on their meeting schedule. So next week, we have time on their agenda for the architects to meet with them, just to pave the way to have a good relationship about the permitting and everything else we're gonna need to get done, so that we don't run into some potholes like we had with Turner in terms of not good communication with the borough. So that's on the schedule for next week. I think that's it for now.
thank you,
But
thank you,
important
Ed.
pieces are falling into place, you know,
Thank you, Ed, for doing that. Thank
it's
you.
real exciting. Yeah.
Okay, and we don't have anything to vote on this month.
No, we don't.
Safety and Security Committee report.
Looking at the presentation, I wasn't at this meeting, but I did set up a presentation regarding mass communication. I really can't go into much detail on that. And the only other thing is, we look at our workplace injuries every month, and it looked like we had only once too many, had one incident last month with our workplace injury. Other than that, I really can't comment on it.
Gotcha. But we can look at the minutes. Okay. Policy Committee report.
So looking at the policy committee, you'll see again, we're plugging away at these policies. We have 3 for second reading. Again, the electronic signatures, new PSBA recommended policy. So this is second and final reading. The public records, we already identified Ms. Bogate as our open records officer. We included the comments from Matt as well. Also, relationships with law enforcement, another new PSBA recommended policy. And I think Matt already sent me the MOU regarding that we can do this summer. And I know Ms. Mosso was reviewing the part on the special students with disabilities. Have reviewed the part. The first reading of the other policies is mainly because policy 227 is a 2004 policy regarding controlled substances. So that policy is 20 years old, and Ms. Pricer is going to reach out to HSAO to see if they can provide any educational training as part of that policy. Policy 110, instructional supplies, again, there's not much change, but it is 20 years old. Policy 113.2, there's a couple volumes since then. It's also a 2004 policy on behavior support. There's some things that Ms. Mosso, she's going to review some sections on seclusion. Again, these are first reads, so there will be probably edits and so on for second read. I know Ms. Gamble, it looks like made a comment about maybe some calm down space, sensory rooms maybe added with Kelly's renovation. Policy 113.3, Volume 3, 2015. Again, I think that's an old policy as well, 2004. Screening and evaluations for students with disabilities. Ms. Moss is going to continue to review that policy for any edits, and along with Ms. Pricer. We'll also create a list of agencies for independent educational evaluations. We also have to change the Director of Special Ed to Director of Student Services and Federal Programs. So those are some important policies from our staff perspective as well. There might be some edits. It might be important if anybody's on those policies to attend the next meeting, because that would be the second reading of the policies, and there might be some changes, some edits going on there. Policy 204.1, no credit for attendance. It's been recommended to delete that policy. All that is you can't lower student grades for attendance reasons. So that shouldn't even be a policy. So it was recommended to delete that. That's on policy too. As you can see, the theme here, there's a lot of 2004 policies that we're trying to get updated in there. So those are all first reads, those ones I just mentioned.
I do have a question.
Sure.
With the last policy you just went over, I know we got a flyer before about the amount of books a person reads or how many books they read every day. It leads to like higher grades or something like that. That was the flyer that we received. Like, I think you read 360 books, something like that. If it shows that if you're not coming to school and your grades are going down, or that your grades have potential to fall, why wouldn't we have something to speak to that opposed to just eliminating the policy?
This policy doesn't pertain to that. That policy is, let's just say you don't show up to school and you're getting, you can't lower the grade because of your attendance. But as we do the assessments on the students, what their knowledge is and so on, that's what your grades are gonna be based off of. I'm trying to figure out what you mean, like if they're reading books, not attend school?
There was a flyer that stated something about your reading comprehension skills decrease if you don't read a book.
Oh, yeah.
Once or twice.
And that's encouraging parents to have students read more at home.
Right, so
Yep.
I said, would it be, I guess it wouldn't be necessary to put it here in the policy that this is what we would.
No, that's just an encouragement to, sometimes we'll send parent informational stuff home, just to encourage.
Suggestion.
Yeah,
Okay.
suggestion, yeah.
So that's what.
Okay,
Ready?
Finance Committee report.
We had our monthly meeting on March 19th, and a
Sorry,
couple things.
I apologize.
Oh, that's all right.
Can I address one other thing?
Sure.
I know it said that I had, I wanted to have calm down spaces over at Turner and that the library was used for those spaces. But then I see that there's sensory rooms that are gonna be added to Kelly when they get their new renovations. Does that mean that that's not an option for Turner?
The sensory rooms are specific to students that have that built into their IEPs, to their needs.
Right.
And I don't think there is that at Turner.
We have a spot, we don't feel it's appropriate, the spot that we had, it's not
Yeah, that's
appropriate
not
right now.
appropriate.
Yeah,
A turn.
yeah.
I remember there was one down on the lower level. I forget the
Near the
teacher who was.
library?
No, this was down, this was in the, I think the basement level. I'm going back about 2 years now, and there was a teacher who was in there. What was it?
It was the behavior specialist.
Okay.
And that was in the old instrumental room.
Yeah, the Zen Den, and now that room is for instrumental music.
Policy. So do we need, to get a space like that back?
I mean, I think it's something for the, admin team and everybody to consider, knowing that it's, that it's important to, to talk about.
I appreciate
I
it.
mean, not to put you on the spot, but just in your opinion, that would be an asset, right?
Oh, absolutely, but we see a lot of teachers now with individual space in their own rooms where they have like a recentering spot or a, pool zone
Yeah,
or
I've seen
whatever
it.
you wanna
I've
call it,
noticed.
because we recognize the need for that more frequently. And we don't want kids leaving the room as much. We want them to get reacclimated in the classroom.
Yeah.
If possible.
Thank you. That's a really good explanation. Thanks, Ms. Mosso.
And that just went down to,
We all went down.
Oh, I thought it was just me.
No, we
No.
got down.
I'm still good.
Were there any other questions, Sherman?
I just wanna make sure that we take care of our target kids just the same as we're taking care of.
Yeah.
The same or if more, then we'll take care of our target kids.
It's nice with this ESS group too, is now, if we have, those kids are identified that have those emotional issues, it's nice because now they can work with them and then quickly get them back to the room after they de-escalate.
Well, I guess that leads me to want to say that it's necessary to make sure that those things are accessible to all the students, whether it be the color of the walls or whatever, to have
I
those
think-
sensory things around the school.
I think building it into those classrooms too, make sure that it's.
Oh,
accessible to
definitely
all.
building to the
Yeah,
classroom.
and that goes back to those restorative practices, like keeping kids indoor and helping them learn how to be part of their community, right? You know, take the time you need to de-escalate and then come back.
And sometimes that de-escalation, I mean, for instance, I was at Kelly one day, we had a situation with a student, you know, and just took him for a walk around the building, just sat there on the steps and talked to him for another 15 minutes. He was good, right back to class.
So it looks like board docs is down.
Yeah, we got an issue here.
I am not going to refresh my page because it seems as though that's what's happening, and I'll just, we'll go on to,
Can they still see us virtually?
That's right. I can
I mean,
see.
they can see the stream still.
yeah,
They're just seeing what's up there.
They're just seeing what's up there.
so
I
we
just made the
we just
mistake
keep
of-
going, right? And we'll just vote by,
We can keep going, Matt? I mean, they
You
can.
can, sure.
Okay. I have this over here.
You have paper agendas?
I don't have a paper.
I
have-
have a print copy, actually. Of the agenda.
That's on the table. That's just.
I have a simplified copy here.
well,
Yeah, you can still do your business, but,
Yeah, you
um,
said, right?
yeah,
Okay.
somebody report that. Makes sense.
No problem. So, no problem at all. So we had our finance meeting on March 19th, and I have to say Beth Ann has been really working hard to get everything in order along with folks at the AIU. But we have a couple of actionable items tonight, and one of them is that we need to actually suspend the printing contract vendor. We're done, I think. Let's see, we'll be selecting a new one in April, and Beth Ann is still collecting some data on that. So we will, basically, we have just, the window is now to suspend it, otherwise the expiration date, if we don't vote on this tonight to eliminate the old contract, it'll be renewed automatically. So it's a 5-year contract. And the other thing is, there's just a small clerical thing. There was, the ESSER 3 revenue was actually put in the wrong function code. And so that's what we're voting on, to put it in the correct one. There's no money difference. It's just, you know, basically transferring the code function number. So the financial reports, by the way, are in board docs. You have to go to 2024 meetings and find the finance meeting, and they're all there. If you have trouble sleeping some night, you can look at them. There's lots and lots of numbers. But anyway, so basically, we're in very good shape. The audit's finished, and we really ended the year of 23, a very good balance of $15,701,499. And the first 8 months, however, of this year, we're pretty much on track, but there's a 6% decrease of local revenue. And we're not sure why that is, because taxes were lowered and, you know, people were paying better last year than this year. So, but the economy's been a problem, we realize. So anyway, that's just for FYI stuff. And the audit people will be in next month to go over the audit. And it'll be a brief presentation. And we just included the millage report. When we get the final number for the school, if we need to borrow money, it's a good year to do it for the bond. And let's see, charter schools are also trending a little higher this year, but that's, you know, we'll be watching that. And Beth Ann has started the budget development, so that's it. Our next meeting will be April 16th.
Thank you, guys. Danny.
Sure.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
There was just an idea that floated in that meeting that I thought was kind of good. We want to remember down the road, if the day ever comes when we have to hike the millage rate, we want to call that the charter school tax.
Yes.
I thought that was a pretty creative idea that came out of that meeting, and let's call things what they are, so.
Yeah, we brought that up. When was that? I think I came back.
A few months ago, yeah.
Yeah, I came back from some something, and that's what they call it, a charter school tax.
Well, it's very accurate, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the truth of the matter.
Because there should also be some kind of, they shouldn't be able to say that it's free, because it's not.
Your taxes do go towards it, yeah.
Before we leave that, I'm sorry.
No.
Just real quickly, if you can just tell me no. Was there any action on charter school reform on the
Not yet.
legislation that
No.
started out like a year?
Not yet.
No
No,
action.
they started talking about vouchers, actually.
Yeah, right.
That, that's what we need to be saying, no, that's not the
Yeah.
answer.
Let's go here, okay, come on.
When is that? Isn't there?
I think it's next week.
next
There
week?
there is one next week.
I think it's, yeah,
I don't think we've ever sent
we should
a
go.
group from Wilkinsburg.
There is another, there is
She
another
proposed
one in
it to
June.
be something that we do. I think I'm actually, you know,
We talked about,
because I'm only the one that's representing the Wilkinsburg, the only one besides my two kids. So it'd be really nice if I had some other people. And at some point, 412 Justice is actually one of the best, is an organization that's sponsoring, a bus.
I think their
But-
bus is I think their bus is next week too, or the weekend.
Yeah, it's May
Yeah. Oh, May 8th, not April 8th?
8th. Sorry, sweets, April 8th. Sorry, we're in April next
Yeah.
month. So yeah, April 8th.
That's
But,
Eclipse Day, so,
It's a what?
it's Eclipse Day.
So they may
Oh.
change something, but that was what was on the plan. That's the agenda.
but I'm,
Yeah.
all the half days are just confusing me, that's next Wednesday.
We're going for which one?
No,
No, this,
it's Monday, April 8th.
some
So
reason-
not next Monday, but Sunday after.
I don't know what day it is, so don't ask me.
All right, trying to move along. Sorry, I'm also trying to buy a little bit of time.
Oh,
for
did it
this.
work?
Okay.
Did it
Okay. Apparently,
Just came back
courthouse has
on.
come back up.
Oh.
So the joint tax committee, oh, sorry, were there any other questions about finance or, okay. Joint tax committee did meet last night.
How did that go? And I apologize for not being.
Oh, you're fine. We had a quorum. We were able to review, the single application that we have. And we voted that contingent upon just some notarization to approve it. So there was a document within the packet of documents that needed notarization. Yeah.
Two boxes, check.
It's for the property 1300 Cinder Place. I don't know exactly how much detail I need to go in here, but yeah. Yeah. So that's
So you
joint.
voted to just notarize a document?
No, we voted to approve it
Oh, okay.
contingent upon the
And
notarization.
it's to resubmit.
Yeah.
Resubmit it
Yeah.
properly, yeah.
Did you
Now-
have a timeline to resubmit or?
At his earliest convenience.
I was saying.
So just for the background on it, he submitted this application over a year ago. We just haven't been convened in that time.
Did you see evidence of that? I wonder if.
Yes, it's in the application.
Oh,
He has dated stuff in the application from 2023.
well, then somebody really dropped the ball, because
Yes.
I've been on the committee and we never got
Yes,
notification that his application was there. So
Yeah.
no wonder he was testy. I thought it
Yeah.
was just that I irritated him.
no, it's in
That
those
happens.
documents that he submitted this. I think he submitted it approximately a year ago, and he wanted to begin construction July of last year, I think it was. And yeah, and then in the hearing, he also testified that he had, in the meeting last night, he also stated that he had, gotten the taxes current
Okay.
on that property. So he's owned that property since 2022. He's done quite a bit of work on this. Yeah,
Okay.
so I would be surprised if he hasn't already submitted the notarization application.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad. I'm just sorry you made it hard on him.
Yeah, it definitely, yeah. Okay, Parks and Recreation. Any updates, Charmaine?
Essentially, I haven't met with the 3 Ms, the 3 mics. With that being said, we were trying to get together a meeting date. We just all haven't been able to get on task. I started a doodle poll, so we should be meeting soon. Other than that, we just know that we want to do some programming this summer. We want to make sure that there's something that can actually reach the youth age group, like teens, tweens, whatever. And And that we're looking for more, committee members? We're looking for more volunteers.
Yeah. I did see that, Mike Milberger put out a call for a job, a part-time job
Yes,
associated with this.
yes, I think the only person that we have working right now is Ms. Joyce, who's the crossing guard over at Kelly, and I love him.
So it says that you need somebody to manage it, I think is what he's saying here.
He already said that he was passing some of his role down to,
Mike is not in best of health,
Yeah,
and so he's been trying to pass that off for a minute now, to find somebody else to do it.
this job is looking at about 20 hours a week, $16 to $17 an hour. So if there are those listening that are interested, in the audience that are interested.
College kids.
Yeah.
My daughter had already requested information. My daughter, Drexel, I sent it to her. She, sent her resume over to him already and also sent it to my son.
That's great,
Yeah.
that's great, good.
because that's where I haven't seen anything other than, I'm just calling out.
All right. Forbes Road East, Anton.
Not much of an update there. I received the notes from them. I was planning on going to, I don't think the first meeting under my tenure has happened. If it has, I missed it, but I was planning on going to like an award ceremony and then I had a scheduling conflict. How would I attach the notes to this?
Send them to me and I'll attach them.
Yeah, and I don't think they have met since you started.
I don't believe
I don't
so.
think they have. Eastern area schools,
That's me.
that is you.
But you attend, well, actually, the meeting for this month is on Thursday,
Okay,
and Denny gave the report for last month.
correct,
So-
yes, okay, thank you. The meeting minute approval. Board action is requested to approve the minutes from the January 23rd, 2024 legislative meeting.
So moved.
Second, Ashley.
Public sees the voting.
Can the public see the voting? Yeah, I'm wondering if it might have kicked us out. We might have to log back in because I'm not getting a window either, but it also might just be slow.
I did log back in. I
He didn't
arrived,
open the
but I don't
voting.
Oh,
Thank you.
it just came.
Yeah, it's working really slow.
20% of the country's trying to get back on.
I was just thinking like, we can't be the only board using this.
It says requested demo, is that what you got, you okay? What you're saying? What was it
Board
saying?
dogs is really kind of messed up tonight.
And I can't get into mine, so I'm gonna vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. I had to bump around a little bit.
Motion passes.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, treasurer's report. Deb says she likes us, but she's gonna come only to the finance meeting. So I'll go ahead and read this part. Board action is requested to ratify and confirm the February 2024 general fund payments of $1,281,879.31. Wire transfers for $1,209,235.92. And capital fund payments in the amount of $14,730. The following report for March 31st, 2024 will be made a matter of record for the minutes, cash, profit, and loss.
So moved, Dennis.
I can second.
Is this the time for questions?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, what is special ed transportation? Why does it cost more than all the other transportation combined?
We have to transport special education students for some, depending on who they are.
They may be going to specialized
Location.
locations.
Might be alternative education locations outside the district.
You can have multiple transports for that.
You know, like vans rather than buses. Right?
So this is the annual cost or the monthly cost?
Let's see. Should probably be. Should be monthly.
That's just a monthly.
Transportation is one of our largest, like, no one, until you see it, no one fully understands it, but transportation is literally a part of what kills us when we talk
That's
about,
spicy, man.
our kids not coming to our schools, so.
$86,000, a lot of money.
What'd you say?
$87,000, it's a lot of money.
But even in that case, when you say that, special ed, they wouldn't necessarily be here anyway, you still might have to transport them out from God.
Yeah.
That's very true.
That's true.
But when you talk about special ed, it's not
The
necessarily
type of vehicle.
here or somewhere else.
For just special ed.
Here.
So don't we get reimbursed, doesn't the state reimburse us for part of that?
Yeah.
We do, and that's through the access process, and we submit that, like the cost settlement reports, and I'm working on the quarterly reports right now. And we submit that, you know, for reimbursement, so a very small portion is reimbursed. But in order to get kids educated, we have to provide them, you know, a way to get to school, and some kids require special means of transportation.
So we have only one student who is attending a school out in Beaver County. We're transporting that one student all by themselves out there and back, and it just gets very costly, but it's required.
So if you have 20 kids that need transportation and their IEPs or whatever says they need to be by themselves.
Yep.
We have to deal with it. Like I was just saying, I have one on my property that he gets bused to City High because he has anxiety issues.
I'm not getting the pop up to vote, so
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah,
vote yes.
you can, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have either. I'm yes.
None of us are.
nobody got it.
It's, you know,
Or just, do we do it by roll
Election.
call?
It's
Just a voice
Somebody just
vote,
gotta
yes.
watch it and take.
Ashley, yes.
Ed, yes. Donovan.
Amanda Barber, yes.
Washington, yes.
Classic, yes.
Motion passes. Authorization for resignations, new hires, and leave requests. Board action is requested to approve retirement, resignations, new hires, pending clearances, and solicitor approved agreements, and leave requests of professional and non-professional staff.
That's a consent.
That's
item.
consent.
You
And
can
we
see
said-
those there attached if you want to look at those.
Amanda and I did separate the consent votes this month as
That's
well.
good.
Yeah, we tried to lump them into what committees they came out of, so that it wasn't just one single consent vote for every single item, probably.
So I.
Yes, yeah,
No, we don't have we didn't have a motion in a second yet, do we? No.
no.
So,
You want to wait for that for discussion? Yeah.
yeah, right,
Okay.
we're supposed to, so I'll move it.
Oh, no,
No.
it's in the consent.
Now's the
Oh,
time to
okay, now
discuss
it's
it.
question time.
Yeah,
You can discuss it now, it's just the vote will come in second.
Got it,
January.
I forgot about the consent lumping things together, okay.
We'll get
So
there.
in no particular order, authorization for leaves, these are FMLA all of them?
Yes.
Because I just thought that because of the word intermittent. Okay, let me see. Michelle Lucas as a new hire.
It's for a homebound position, that's all it is.
Yes.
So
I
it's
see.
not a
So
new
it's-
hire person, but it's a position that,
New position,
So we have to list her as a new hire, even though she's
yeah.
because it's a hire, yeah.
Okay, all right, because she's been here for a while, okay.
But we're having 4 separate positions this time.
Got it, thank you. Let me think. I think those maybe were the only one. Oh, the resignation and retirements at the very top are lumped together. So can I ask which these are?
Right, we talked about separating those out. We will begin to separate those out next month.
That's me. I'll take the blame on
Well, I
that.
just always ask about the
that's good,
resignation
that's
ones,
good,
like what's the,
That's my fault, I should have separated that.
oh, it's not, no, it's not like that. I just want to know why people resign sometimes. A better job someplace else, or were they unhappy, or don't we know?
We do know. One of those on there, the pre-K lunch I don't know. The other lady that's on there is, it's PCERS issues, because you can't, if you're collecting PCERS, you can't work for a district and collect PCERS. We had this issue.
Oh, I see, I get it, okay.
And the
All right,
lunch
thank you.
aid is due to college, like classes don't fit her schedule now, so.
All right, that she's calling, so, okay. All right, thank you.
Any other, yeah,
Charlene Tompkins, the records management secretary, is this a rehire, is it a new position?
Yes, and she's here with us tonight as well. So this is we had somebody had resigned for a para position last month, so it was an open position. So the recommendation is for this month is Charlene to replace the person there.
Years, I have 2 sons, 32 and 38 today. 20 years ago, I worked for Wilkinsburg, which is now Boston, and I got there due to promotion to another nonprofit organization, Family Links, and I've been there, like I said, if I can come back to my community and work, the first opportunity that I get going forward, so here I am 20 years later. It's a straight from the building.
That is yeah.
Welcome back.
Yes, yeah.
You know, we have a new policy, you can't leave.
I forgot about that. Well, we do have to vote, you're right.
Oh, yeah, right.
Sorry.
any other questions or comments?
No.
Okay, conference, field trips, professional development workshop requests. Board action is requested to approve the attached conference, field trip, professional development, and workshop request for March 2024 at a cost not to exceed $8,039.06 and to be paid for by the general fund and ESSER. Again, these are consent items.
Okay.
For H? Correct. So G is its own consent item, H is its own consent item, and I is its own consent item tonight. However, just have to read them all before we get to the vote. But we can discuss as we bring them up.
Just the H section didn't have consent votes, so I don't know if that matters or not.
Yeah, it does it.
That's why I was confused.
Which section does it?
H.
It's listed down in J.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It doesn't have it up
It's
in the
not
title.
titled that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
if it doesn't matter, it's fine, I just was noting it.
Any questions or comments or discussion on the conference commercial development workshop requests, field trip requests?
No?
Professional development. That's my comment.
Okay, the Hegarty Writing Program, professional development.
Okay, and then we have a question. So, are you trying to read this?
I am, yeah, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Board action is requested to approve the purchase of Hagerty Bridge to Writing Program Professional Development for the 2024-2025 school year at a cost not exceeding $6,000 to be paid for by the ESSER learning loss.
What is it? $2,000 webinar, what is it?
That,
I can speak to that.
yeah. I'll let you.
So this is the program that was approved last month. And we do have also the addition of third grade on there. This would be for someone to come in person to do training on one of our professional development days at the beginning of the year. Since it's a new program for teachers, there'll be a kindergarten session, a first and second grade session, and then a third grade session. So it's 6 hours total of professional development.
It's
Per
$2,000
grade or
roughly
total?
per grade. It's $2,000 for kindergarten, $2,000 for the first and second together, and then $2,000 for the third grade.
And you'll see on the next one, we have in there for third grade, because we didn't have that on for last month.
Is it 6 hours per each of those, or is it?
No, it's one full day. There'll be 2 hours each, and then there is continued support, like virtual support throughout the year.
And it's paid for by the ESSER grant, so it's not coming out of the general fund. So it's coming from the ESSER. And actually, PD for $2,000 is pretty inexpensive for a day of PD. I know it sounds like a lot to all of us, but.
Well, it's $6,000 for a day though, because it's only 2 per. So it's 6 total. So this is, $1,000 an hour.
Yeah, which is pretty inexpensive, actually. Yeah.
For travel, stay, all of those things.
Yeah, usually when you get a PD person coming in, it could cost anywhere up to $15,000 to $25,000 for a day presentation.
Get on it, Antoine.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and can we, is there going to be some sort of evaluation? Presumably they have their own program notes thing. But if we're gonna spend on this again next year, $6,000 maybe in this industry is reasonable, but that's a lot of money for 6 hours of work. And I don't care where the money's coming from. I don't wanna waste the ESSER funds if there's no return on this. So if we're gonna do it this year, fine, but they have better work.
And it's a new program, and it goes with the program that we're using as well. So pretty much, we got to use that.
It's a new program, so the teachers need this training along with administrators. So there won't be, once we have this initial training, there'll be the administrators there. I will be there. The teachers will be there. There'll be follow-up. So we will not be doing this type of training next year. It will just be continued PD throughout the year. Any professional development we have, we use our Comply system where we send out a task, a questionnaire, things like that. That we always send to the staff and get follow-up. So, and we encourage and have our admin staff there. So it's not just the teachers there, and then we will look at data as we use the program throughout the year. So.
And Antoine, yes, we used to evaluate the new programs just to see if they work well, and that's how you end up changing programs. This one didn't blend with this one, or this one didn't. So you can always ask things that they.
Okay. What is the nature of the training? Is it
the writing program?
Wow.
So it's for the writing program that we're purchasing. So
Right.
it's, kindergarten, first, second, and third grade is going to be implementing the Hagerty writing program that we spoke about last month. And I know at the committee meeting, there was a PowerPoint and everything that I shared. So that training is going to be around the program itself, how to implement it, the components, scope and sequence, how to use it.
Okay, so this is like how to do Hagerty
Yeah.
101.
Yeah, we're the teachers.
In person rather than virtual. I feel like sometimes COVID hit, we kind of got to everything being virtual, and I feel in-person professional development is so much better as it is with our kids. So, I take the opportunity if I can have someone in person. We have, every year we have designated professional development costs that we can spend. So that's what is this for, just because it's real.
Okay.
Whatever it is.
Sure. And then, perhaps my last question is, anybody know a rough figure for how much the whole program, how much is Hagerty?
All of Hagerty.
Yeah.
So I think last month was just over 15,000.
It was
With
a
those
little bit under
grades?
15,000 for kindergarten through, second grade. And then the next item we'll add on third grade, which the invoice, I believe, is attached.
Yeah.
And so we purchased enough for 6 teachers, so also besides 4 teachers, homeroom teachers, we have availability for our special ed teachers to have that program.
So for K through third grade, it's roughly 20,000, it's just under like 19, 18.
So it was like $799 per teacher. This add-on on the invoice you'll see for third grade, they did discount that to $759 per teacher. And then as we continue, we need supplemental consumables for, and the digital piece for teachers. I think it's only like $399 per teacher, after this initial cost.
It's a larger upfront cost with the materials.
Yes,
So if we.
like all
do
the teacher
choose-
materials and things
Yeah.
like that.
If we do choose to renew next year, it won't reflect quite that high of a cost because it won't include those particular materials. And that's the next item is the breakout of
Third grade.
third grade, with the quote price in there. I think the quote from last month had a more detailed. The quote from last month, I think, had a more detailed look at what materials were versus.
I think I had that all on the PowerPoint, so you
Yeah.
can still see that on the previous month's PowerPoint. I think the last one was broken down by grade, where this is just for third grade, so you're only seeing one line item on that quote. And then it does list the discount. Below. It's something that teachers have felt a strong need for, and looking at where our kids are come third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, we really needed that piece of a writing component that was consistent and that had that scope and sequence that built off of each other, using the same strategies, using the same vocabulary, things like that. So this was a piece that we looked at along with our supports from the IU. And our ILT leaders, that is our instructional leaders from each grade level, and they all got positive feedback that they thought this, would be a good component, and the research behind it supported it.
We're just looking from last month at the description of it, you know what I mean? That helping the kids learn to organize their thoughts before they write, and I mean, to help them at a young age learn to be organized writers, and not to mention grammar, punctuation, all the other things that go into it, is really important skills, I think. I mean, I don't think we're giving that to them in any other place, in the curriculum, so. I just hope it works. We'll have to, because this won't start till next year, right? We're buying this for next year.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to wait like a year from now, maybe we'll have some kind of feedback from teachers. How's it going,
Yeah, and we'll collect, like Summer said, we'll be collecting the feedback after professional development too, through the comply. We do after every professional.
Right, right. What little I remember of PSSAs of the ELA part, these skills about organizing your thoughts for writing should really help with the standard tests performance also. Yeah.
So the things that you're seeing, like I said, is we're building components of the ELA block, and we're really focusing on Kelly right now and strengthening those pieces, and we're kind of working into Turner to look at those components. The idea is that when we get kids to third grade, that they are reading on grade level, and we're not so focused on we don't have so many kids in tier 3, so hopefully over, the next couple of years, we start to see, those kids that started in kindergarten and first grade, they come to fourth grade and need to write a TDA. It's not such a struggle.
So TDA is that text dependent analysis,
Yeah.
and it's a big portion.
That's one thing I learned from
Yeah.
Dr. Irish.
Okay. Board action is requested to approve the purchase of the Haggerty Bridge to Writing Program at a cost not to exceed $4,927.82 to be paid for from the ESSER grant. Learning loss. Any additional comments now that we've read that second piece? Okay. Board action is requested to purchase the K-6 College Career and Life Readiness Program from Power School to support the District 339 plan at a cost not to exceed $8,841 and to be paid from the Ready to Learn grant. Any discussion there?
Yeah, if I could just hear real simply, what's the goal of it? Because I didn't come to curriculum.
It will help guide, she can, and you can talk about a little bit more, but it's gonna help us guide our students because we have to have a future ready plan for K through 12.
I
but she
knew
can give
this.
more details.
So it's collecting all that data right now. They collect it via pen and paper. This puts it in a database for them.
Right.
They don't have to be using the pen and paper to collect this information. The other benefit to this is that it does sync right up. If they go to PPS schools, it'll be right there for them. Nobody's having to manually put this in.
There are actually online activities and things that sort of gamifying, the process of making choices about, career readiness and from things like, do you like to work inside or outside? Do you like to work alone or with people? And so they take kids through the steps and different ladders that you can pursue in life. And then it's all that, again, gamified process, but we can also have the artifacts every year. Kids are supposed to have 2 to 3 artifacts that show their process through the career, readiness program. So it'll all be there, and then it will go to Pittsburgh Public with them. Our kids go to Westinghouse.
And that could be audited too, for those artifacts.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that 339 plan or whatever.
So it's the guidance department, the counseling department has to have a 339 plan, right? That includes that future readiness piece, but the state could come in and say, hey, let's see your 339 plan, let's see the artifacts that you have. And if we don't have those artifacts on hand, we can be cited for that.
Right. Because we're a pre-K 6 district, I keep forgetting about the career readiness piece, which is a good idea and also required. I keep forgetting about it.
Yeah.
But I get it now.
Matt?
Yes.
I believe that I have a conflict of interest on this. Do I need to abstain from discussion?
Not from discussion, but
Just from voting.
voting, so we do.
You can also ask to clarify too, if you want to ask him.
I
don't know.
I just work for a competitor.
Okay.
I run the competitor, so I think I'll steer clear of this one.
Okay.
So with that, because it's a consent vote,
We have to pull that one out.
You probably should, yeah. So that Anton can understand. Actually, unfortunately, your board docs limits you what you can do. So the easiest thing to do is to pull that out so that Anton can understand. So if you want to make that, I don't know whether board docs allows you to go in there and make an individual motion.
No, remember we just talked about that. Remember the last time we could either you vote them all or you vote now.
Right.
I know, but we have an abstention. I mean, I guess you could vote. When Anton casts his vote on the consent item, assuming that's the only issue you're voting yes on, we can have the record reflect these abstentions.
You abstain from that item.
So
I don't think
unfortunately,
it's an issue,
board
it's
docs
just when we
control
do our
how you do it.
review, because these agendas go out to the full board pre-meeting. And as we're going through, Antoine is new and figuring out what works. This would be something that had we gone over prior to today, would have just been pulled out so that we knew this was something he needed to abstain from. The point of the consent votes isn't to make this just an all or nothing.
Well,
If
that's what I was
people,
told
if you
last
go,
month.
No, you were told last month how to vote on a consent vote, but as a board, when we're preparing for the meetings, these are parts of the conversations that we can have if there's an instance of something needing to be not included into this
advance.
vote. Exactly.
When we were at the board meeting, I was told that it's either all or nothing, that's why.
Right, on how
Well,
we
in terms of
vote,
the
but that's,
voting, it
I'm
is-
I'm talking about the process, because then you said, oh, it's all or nothing. I mean, that's the part of planning pre-meeting to have those conversations. Whatever Anton may have had up to this meeting, like this wasn't something that I guess
Plus, I always.
it's not an issue. It's a further understanding when things like this are on an agenda, needing to be clear that, oh, this is something I need to abstain from.
And if you,
I'm glad you started saying something.
if you do, and here's the other reason why we send them out on Saturday, they have to be, according to our policy, you guys get to see them Saturday. So if you guys, from Saturday to Monday, if there are any issues or concerns like that where I can pull out, just so I have it done by 7 o'clock on Monday night. But that's why we have a board policy where the board sees it 3 days ahead of time.
So Ashley, are you just to cut to the chase, are you suggesting that, when we get it, we look at it and look for possible conflicts or whatever, and I might say, hey, I need to have this one pulled out separately because I'm gonna have to abstain, I can't have that be in the consent. Is that, right?
That's exactly
That's
it.
your bottom line.
That's
Okay, thanks.
exactly it. Yeah.
And that gives me time. I can move it.
Yeah, as long as it's done 24 hours in advance.
Yeah, I think that speaks to the whole telephone comment.
Just in reference to like the way that, I think, Charmaine, what you're saying is about how, you know, it can feel like when we do work through committee that it becomes a game of telephone. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, we were meeting in them.
So we do work in committee, we come here, we present our work in from committee, and then we have other questions, and then it can have there has been a comment in the past, there was a sense of, this is a game of telephone being.
I don't know what that means.
Meaning this, like, that old game of telephone. And then he tells her that. And then by the time we get it in a meeting, it has become a different message entirely from what it was in committee.
And we thought it would help this month, because listen to what you guys said last month. That's why we tried to at least separate G, H, and I. So instead of them all being together, we thought it might be a common
And
platform.
again,
And I feel like this would work, but it's just like you said, it's gonna make us more attentive, make us more diligent at reading through everything, making sure we have our own opinion and moving forward. But I promise you, I'm very glad that we're having this discussion, because I did not know that. You know, in conjunction with why we were doing this, I knew that we were going to be able to vote, you know, for different things to go from separately. But as far as being able to abstain and different things like that, I appreciate it.
Well, hopefully then, we should all be evaluating as we go through this, what the experience is of having only one meeting a month. Because this is, I mean, for you guys, that's the way the board is, one meeting a month, but it always was 2 meetings. The meeting last week would have been to talk about all this stuff, and for you to be able to say, wait, I might have a conflict on that one, so that the voting meeting theoretically would go quickly, because we already talked about all the stuff the week before. So we should be thinking about it. Is this working for us? You know what I mean? Or at some point down the road, are we gonna say, wait, it'd be better if we had the planning meeting and then the voting meeting? I just think this was always meant to be somewhat, not experimental, but you know what I mean?
I mean, it's always,
Give it a
it's never
try. Yeah,
changes.
yeah.
I mean, it's always up for discussion and change, yeah. And so we can also stop using consent votes too. If that is which seems to be like part of this issue. If we are only having a planning legislative meeting, we should maybe not do consent vote now.
Oh.
Right?
That
Because
would be-
then we could have each individual thing, have discussion, have a vote, each individual item. And we can go back to that. That's not a
Right,
problem.
because if somebody missed it over the weekend.
Right.
Let's face it, like, if this was later, Easter's coming, and, you know, people are busy on the weekend and don't get to tell you. then you're telling me when I get here, I just might as well say no to everything.
Or shut your mouth.
Or you.
Yeah, say no to everything. I ain't gonna never shut up.
Just an observation.
I just wanted to comment of just how I've taken in the changes since I was here before when we added committee meetings was, this is what the understanding I got from when Deb implemented us getting back to committee meetings was there was representation from the board on committee meetings for admin team to present all of these items that are under this consent. And that if the board leadership that was there felt it was, agreed with it, then they moved forward with it and put it on the agenda. If they didn't support what we were bringing to the table on something, then it wasn't going to be put on there for a vote. So it's kind of like, here's our leaders from whoever decided on what, and if they were kind of saying they were in agreement to this. And then most of that discussion on a committee meeting versus a planning meeting. And I do know that our agendas and things like that, or PowerPoints and things that go with the committees are sent out much for before the Friday before this meeting. So I'm not sure if those are reviewed or not, but these items that are all listed under here, those were all discussed during that committee 2 weeks ago. And I know that the agendas are sent out and the attachments that go with them. So that could also help to generate questions or discussion before this meeting.
And that's the way committee meetings is always designed long before I got them.
Yeah, so that's the idea, is that as committee chairs, we provide the rest of the board with the agenda before the meeting. That way, if you guys have any questions and can't attend the meeting, you can provide them to us, and try to provide any presentation that I get in advance to everybody else, so they have that information. And then all of those things go this agenda. But I think that it might be moving forward a better idea to get rid of the consent vote at these meetings.
Or to look at, once or twice I attended PBS board meetings, and I know that if there are 7 things in the consent thing, I could vote and say, I'm voting yes, except for item C, and their system does it. Now, maybe it's not board docs.
It seems like we might be able to do that but it's.
It's a matter of your software that you're using. You
Right.
can't separate stuff out.
Right, that's what I thought you were saying.
So board docs doesn't have that option, but whatever PPS,
Yeah, I don't know what they use.
whatever they use, I know it's easy to say, no, I'm voting yes to 5 of those, but not to that 6th one.
Yeah, because we're talking about it every month.
Right.
We'll just get, but maybe we want to talk
Yeah.
about more board retreat, trying to figure out where we're at. We thought maybe separating them would be easier. It did simplify, I can tell you this, it did simplify our meetings, like speed our meetings up last month, and the curriculum meetings. From our perspective, it is nice to be able to explain everything in detail separately,
I feel like I've dropped the ball tonight giving you that detail, because now my brain is like shot. But let me tell you, we did talk about all this stuff in detail.
I feel like the committee meeting took the planning meeting and put it more focused.
Yeah.
So then having the planning meeting, which we hit all of these items now on the committee meeting nights, we have a focus on safety, we have a focus on the policies. And then we have a focus on all the other items that may appear on the agenda in pockets of time.
I just feel like the committees, they allow you to take a deep dive, and I guess they allow you to take a deep. Whereas if you're doing everything more, at the surface, it's like, yeah, we did that, and just skip over.
it's definitely more work.
Yeah, so the thing we don't think is wonderful is consent meetings.
Yeah.
We're gonna stop doing consent.
So what does that look like? You don't,
It's one of these things we have a conversation, we vote on individually.
and that's gonna take a lot more time.
It takes more time.
Longer.
The whole purpose of it was time, right? We are all volunteering our time as a school board director.
Now, every month we've had it, we're taking more time talking about consent vote.
And it was a different board when we had a consent vote, so there was a different understanding and there was a different working relationship because it
Yeah, I
was
think
different
that's
people.
what it is.
Right.
So now,
So I think going forward, we're just not gonna do consent vote. And I think that'll eliminate some of this, and then as we move forward and get that retreat schedule, and about how we.
When you look at how much time we've spent talking about it,
Right.
we could have been doing individual votes.
Bingo. Okay, moving on, Navient, any other discussion with Navient CCLR? Okay. ESS teacher coaching contract. Board action is requested to approve a teacher coaching contract with Effective School Solutions for the 24-25 school year. A cohort of 10 teachers in each building will receive 6 hours of professional development and additional classroom observation hours throughout the school year on the trauma-attuned model for trauma-responsive teaching practices. The annual fee is $120,000 and will be paid for with ESSER funds. Discussion. Attached is the agreement. I think we have presentation.
So, I'm sorry, I should know this, but,
Question time.
so it's training for the teachers to be more effective in dealing with trauma situations that they encounter with students?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Jeanette can speak in detail to it. Yeah.
It's actually like a philosophy and a methodology for approaching students that we know are coming to us with trauma, not like a crisis response.
Oh.
So it's the way that we, just everything that we do, from the way we arrange our classroom, the way we present instruction, the way we do support students in a crisis. It's just a really overarching model that pairs very well with the ESS clinicians that we have now and the additional professional development that we're getting from them on an ongoing basis about, trauma responsive practices, so that we're making sure we're handling things to support students the best way possible, as opposed to like some traditional teaching methods or some traditional ways that we would have to respond, in the past. We know that there's more of a behavioral health model out there, and we need to learn more about it.
So this is more preparation and management anticipation, not crisis intervention when it happens.
Right, this is all to, again, we'll have the 2 cohorts of teachers, and then they'll be learning and getting coached in their classrooms for how they implement the different things that they learn throughout the year.
I got it now, thank you.
I'm just perusing this contract, and also the vote itself. It says clearly that there's 6 hours of upfront PD, and then it's like monthly booster sessions. What's the frequency of those? Yes.
Streams get together and go over the data that's been collected every month. So it's meant to be roughly 2.5 to 4 hours in each building. So an additional 8 hours.
Okay, and does, participate in those, or is that just the site team?
Super.
Who is this contract with? I guess ESS. Yeah.
Therapists for our tier 3 supports in both buildings now. We have a program we adopted last year. We have a clinician, licensed clinical social worker at each building to support our tier 3 students who are receiving therapy in school.
Is that what this contract is for?
This is to partner with that. They use a trauma-attuned model, and they use trauma-responsive practices. And this is to help us all embrace, the trauma-informed and trauma-responsive practices.
So it's the professional development piece that's specific to trauma-attuned model, like teaching these,
And
20 teachers on this model.
Yeah, trauma-informed care, trauma-informed teaching is what it's usually called, and their model is called trauma-responsive.
Right. Okay, and so in terms of the monthly boosters, that's a practice thing that happens at the school site, or is that a thing that ESS will also provide support with?
They're providing all the leadership on this, and that's one of the parts of the model that's so important to us, because they have trained people in the model, and then those people are going to be doing observations and working with our teachers to collect data and then presenting it. And then the booster sessions are where we all talk about where we need support, where we had successes, that kind of thing, like a reflection time and analysis time.
So we'll come in monthly to evaluate the teacher? Sure. Evaluate the situation, not evaluate the teacher.
Provided data, and they've been good. Working with them, we've been with them, what, now 5-6 months. They've been good. They already gave a data report for our 2 clinicians. Was that right, this January, for the first semester?
Semester report with them.
They're very data, I mean, they provided that, which is nice. Is it working?
We have a whole dashboard.
Is it working?
And we did talk about last month about what we estimated somewhere around $279,000 that they've actually helped us keep in the district because we've been able to keep that many students in the district schools that they were at risk for having to be placed in other schools.
Can we get reports which combined with what was said? You understand what I'm saying? So we can see if the services are actually working. I don't know how often you want to do that.
We gave that at the curriculum meeting, right?
Yeah, that was two meetings ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we provided that. It was with the curriculum, however you send out the agenda and then the, reports and everything.
Yeah.
And
But I
so
can
it's in
share
the
that
system.
again.
Yeah, it was
I was
from,
gonna say, 'cause even though committee meetings are wonderful,
right.
you still need to make sure that the rest of the board gets all the information from those committee meetings so that we can stay on tune with it.
Yeah,
too,
and
if you want us to
I
vote.
made sure to highlight that amount because that amount was significant. I mean, that's nearly
It's sent to
$300,000.
all the board.
Yeah, yeah. So anytime that I get information that's like really impactful like that, I make sure to like mention that because.
Especially when you get costs like that.
Right, and that's why I say like, and that's why I'm so interested in this particular program because we've already seen Effective School Solutions do that for us with that piece of having those counselors in the schools. So I know that I expect to see other.
And so now this is a way to teach the teachers and supporting students like they're supporting students.
So it's streamlined across the buildings with the students and the staff. And the nice part about this is, you know, we have ESSER money that we've got to spend, and it has to be spent in certain SEL, learning loss. You know,
I mean, wouldn't it be
things like
great if
so
we
if it's
found?
working, if we find out if it's working,
Wouldn't it be great if we found next year that it was really hard to get 10 kids at each school, you know? I mean, that's not exactly gonna happen, but like, that's the kind of stuff, you know, as this moves on, you know, we're seeing the growth, we're seeing the positive impact of this program.
and their next presentation.
The downside of moving back to individual committees is, I used to feel like I knew all this stuff. You know what I mean? And how all the programs we buy all fit together and complement one another. And now it's really hard for me to see how things fit. So that means get my butt to curriculum meeting.
No, and we need summaries at the end of the things. When we bring in new programs, you definitely need to evaluate it some way to see if it's working.
Yeah, because all the pieces look.
But we do.
I mean, but the board needs us to know, so.
The
we have to
board,
feel good
the board
about it.
does know, the board did get data reports from ESS, and we gave the presentation, so the board did get that from the first question.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll remember that. For everyone's edification, it is 20 teachers, 44 days of support.
Yeah.
In addition to the 6 hours of PD in terms of training, and then the 8 booster sessions are supposed to be 90 minutes each. All of that is what we're paying for the $120,000, which I guess was really what I was getting after. It's like, what are we buying?
Yeah.
And we've been very diligent. We are required to spend a certain amount of SEL money, ESSER money. ESSER, there's a certain percentage that has to be devoted to learning loss, to build to prevent spread of viruses. There has to be a certain amount, that's why we're after school or summer school programs, but a certain amount of this money has to be spent for SEL, social emotional learning. And we're running, you know, time runs short for everybody on it. So we want to make sure we spend it wisely. Have those discussions. Is this something that's going to be impactful? We hope it is. We think it is. From the information that we gather and we collect, we believe it will be. We like the data reports that they provided for the first program that we had that we spent, what, $600,000-700,000 on, which was concerning to me when it was first brought to me. But the board was very on board with that. What was even better is showing the money that we saved through their data reports in January, I believe it was, and how successful they were. So they've been successful, they've been impactful for the students. Now we want to make sure the same culture is across the board with our staff. So.
Yeah, once the money's spent, the money's spent. I mean, we bought it. So it's the student outcomes. You know what I mean? It's the outcomes for students that matter to me the most. That's what I'd like to hear. Maybe toward the end of the year, at some point, some kind of a report on what did this do for our kids?
Yeah, we can we can have them do the same report that they did for January for the second semester for the year. We can do the
I
same
think that
report
would be
again.
really wonderful.
And
That would be
they do that, it's just, it was the first thing, and they had to adapt for us because we have the standards-based report cards, so we don't have kids getting A, B, C, D.
Yeah, right.
So it wasn't the kind of data that they could put together, so they had to adapt it to the report card format that we use, which was very, informative as well. But, yeah, I mean, in general, whenever we look at it, part of this too came about as a response to the teachers' input on the professional development survey that Summer sent out. And so they asked for more of the type of training that we had from ESS this year ongoing. We started with the first week, we had 2 hours of training from them. And then in 2 of the extended days, we had additional training from them. And there was a really great response from the teachers asking for more of that type of training. So I felt like that, that was really the thing that ushered this into our, into our consideration for that. Whenever the teachers are asking for more of the same, we want to support them so they get what they need to be successful.
Got it.
And I was at Pennsylvania League of Urban Schools 2 weeks ago, caucus, and just to make the board feel a little bit better, there was probably, I'm guessing, 10 or 12 of schools there, Johnstown, Norristown, and out of the 10 or 12, it's amazing, about 80% of them are using ESS in some manner. So, and the person running the program is a former teacher, school administrator, and district administrator, which that brings a lot of validity to the program too.
This is slightly off topic. Is it possible to get like a primer on standards-based report cards? And that's the second time I've heard that in this meeting. Like,
Yeah.
I understand the concept, but what does that look like on our actual report cards?
Students should feel that in some sort of parent training, kind of we do that. That is something that I'm very interested in because I don't think we do enough parent education around what that report card means.
We could do that with the parent training and even a curriculum. We can discuss and say what that would look like. A lot of schools have already gone to it for 10 years.
Yeah, there's been a number of ideas tonight that would be really good topics for our retreat.
Yeah.
I mean, just so, how
I think we might actually have some time to be able to do it.
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, there have been a lot of things tonight that would be, but obviously people are like kind of hungry to dig into it a little bit. The standards that I could use a primer on that as well.
Thinking about like how that ties in with the charter discussion in terms of costs. I mean, how do we differentiate ourselves so that instead of just being like, we want you to stay for your money, we can pay you for a better product. Like, here's what we do that they don't.
I mean, I will say that, in my own household, it was very much the very first report card that my son got in kindergarten. I said, oh no, we're doing something about this right now. My husband said, that's a report card? I said, yes, dear, that is a report card. And he's like, there's no letters. I'm like, yeah, let me show you. And then of course, I'm bringing out my textbooks from my master's in curriculum instruction saying, it's right here, this is how these align. And he's going, okay.
I know the non-letter throws a lot of situations up, because like one of the things, like their after school program gives them reward for those that made honor roll or had no, well, we don't do that, so they can't get rewarded.
It is old school
I've never
thinking.
seen that.
It is old school thinking. Standards-based report cards, just remember this, is it about the learning or is it about the grade?
Right.
Is it about the learning or is it about the grade? And schools for years, it was always about the grade, because I can tell you this, working in 5 school districts, an A in one district could be a C or a D in another. What is the content that they're learning? So the standards-based grade report card leaves the flexibility along with the curriculum, but it also shows, are they meeting that standard of learning? What do they have the skills, the knowledge, the insights on the standard based on that standard, on those particular standards that they're expected to learn before they go to the next grade level? And that's why I always say, is it about the grade or is it about the learning? Because I can tell you this, an A in one district is not, and we did a meeting with Carnegie Mellon and probably 4 other school districts. And we even asked them, do you guys even look at GPAs as much anymore? And they're really not, because some school districts have a 4.5 grade level when you look at high school. Some might have a 4.0. And it's all subjective. Their concerns are they taking the courses that they need for the program that they want to take? Because why take programs, courses that you're not going to need? So so at the elementary level, we're starting there. So it goes back to that, is it about the learning?
And I agree with you on that. However, when you're talking about a community of people that don't understand that,
that's where we need to come in.
It don't make a gap blast different whether they get there or not.
The gap is, as a parent, how do I interpret this information to give a better education to my child? And that's a huge gap.
But it definitely is a vehicle for the parent organization to be more active.
So we just need we need a parent refresher and maybe even a board refresher. At some point, the board approved this standards-based grading before I got here.
Yeah, we did.
So at some point, the board approved this. So at some point, we probably just need to do a parent refresher and a board refresher.
Yes.
I agree.
Or at least something that they're similar, that parents, because a parent refresher, you're not gonna get all the parents, board will be there.
Right.
Obviously, however, but you're not gonna get all the parents there. So when you say an S to a parent, don't give a, they're no really fail or flunk, fail or pass.
Those discussions should also be had during the parent-teacher conferences.
After the first report every year, so if parents attend parent-teacher conference, that is where for the new grade, they will explain the standards that are on there, plus what each letter means. But there is like a little rubric that goes with the report card that says like what's an E, what's an F. And there is verbiage that goes with that to explain what those mean, but that's why we purposely put the parent-teacher conference right after the first 9 weeks. So every parent has an opportunity, so they can have, the report cards given at that, and the teacher can explain.
But like I was just saying, I know Gwen's girls is the one. They wanna know what kids made on the roll.
We don't do it.
Yeah, is honor roll
So they don't get awarded.
Is honor roll important to the board?
Well, for Gwen's girls, I know, I would say culture, we wanna know not only if they're performing well, how their attitude is, taking a part of their performance. And I can't say that our report cards don't, reflect some of that, but when we say we don't have honor roll, that means also that we can't honor the good of our students. And I agree with the fact that we should be able to honor the students that are doing well.
So maybe we just need to think about or have a group think of, okay, how can we have the standards-based report card and still be able to honor in some manner?
See, if they're meeting the standard.
It's two trains of thought though here. There's, you're coming from the inside of things, all these things. We can't say that we are
street people.
Right.
We
can't say that we're not informed, but we know a little bit.
And you will see less honor roll in the paper now than you did 5-10 years ago, and probably 5-10 years from now, you may not even see honor roll.
And honestly, I think that that's not the right way to go, for the simple fact that we're quick to punish our students, we're quick to take away after school, we're quick to take away these different things. But is honor roll the way to do that? But there's another way to say, baby, you're doing a great job.
You're exactly right.
You can't just be in the envoy program to display that because there's only 4 or 5 seats. But what we can do for every single grade is say, these 3 are doing great work. These are exemplary students, and this is someone to follow.
It's kind of like that's like the honor society.
No, we can still do that.
Right.
We can still do that.
Yeah, like the national honor. I think that's something in the elementary school with like an honor society now.
I don't think there's a national honor
Maybe today
society.
we gotta make it up.
We make one up.
And honestly, Wilkinsburg is the best place to set precedents, right? On every front. We're setting precedents, so let's continue to set some precedents.
No, we can still honor. We just gotta think about how do we want to honor.
PBIS, because PBIS
That's
incorporates
behavior, right?
it's behavior, but it also includes your academic behavior. But another thing to think about when we talk about standards-based report card, it wasn't a one and done kind of thing. So if you're looking at a standard and a student might not be meeting that standard the first 9 weeks, it is the expectation that we get those kids to meet that standard. We do all of those things. So that is another reason why we changed that persona of, you know, when you think of, we do want to give shout outs to kids that are meeting the standards and are on grade level for the standards that we have.
Do you remember when we
That we
went to
taught, but sometimes kids need longer to learn something. And so we're doing other things for those children. So by the end of the year, I might have a grade or a letter next to that standard. Danielle doesn't because she met that standard already, but I needed more time to meet that standard. So that's where that concept of standards-based report cards come in also, because we want to make sure all kids are meeting the standard by the end of the year, than just giving that summative A, like Dr. Loshnik said, could mean different things. But we definitely can, you know, look at a way that, you know, okay, first 9 weeks, let's take a look by student, you know, how many meeting the standards, but we don't also want kids to say, oh, I didn't make honor roll, and so I'm not gonna continue, you know, then kind of be discouraged to keep trying to meet that standard. And so that's where that concept kind of.
I'm about to email everybody. There's a National Elementary Honor Society.
Is there?
There is. I mean, why wouldn't there be, right? It's just, there's a lot of stuff out there. So we can make it up if we want to, but I
You
think.
can do that with
Yeah.
standard-based.
Yeah, I think that, I clearly didn't read it. We need to, I will read it, but,
Emails, Ashley.
yeah.
I think that's something that can be talked about in curriculum meetings, since that's before that, you know what I mean? I have lots of parents come to me all the time and be like, my child plans have failed.
I don't know if you feel comfortable with this, but even bringing on some of your network as far as a parent organization meeting can make it more valuable. And it gives us a little bit more power in executing on the things that we really want to see in the district. But that's just, you know.
Okay. Budget transfer. Board action is requested to approve a budget transfer for proper ESSER 3 revenue function to required function code of 8744. The current budget has this incorrectly in code 8743.
Actually, Danny can speak to it. I wasn't at that finance meeting.
Yeah, that's exactly right, just a housekeeping thing.
Code
It was put in the old budget, I mean, in the budget, it was put in the wrong code, function code.
Okay.
So that's why there's no money difference, it's just in the code it's supposed to be in, it's just a transfer, yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you she's very particular making sure if there's any transfers and it's not budgeted for.
I mean,
It's coming for the board, or if there's something that she has to correct, she's gonna bring it.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Okay, policies, policy 800.1. Board action is requested to approve the second and final reading of policy 800.1, electronic signatures. Any discussion? Policy 801, public records. Board action is requested to approve the second and final reading of policy 801, public records. Discussion. Policy 805.1, relations with law enforcement agencies. Board action is requested to approve the second and final reading of policy 805.1, relations with law enforcement agencies. This is a new PSBA recommended policy. Any discussion?
Are we still in the consent vote?
Still in consent votes.
We are still in consent votes. However, these things can be pulled out even now, right? No.
This program.
Not now.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. You can't do it on board doc.
Right. We cannot do it electronically, but we can do it. We have the power to do it.
Then, this is not about pulling the votes out. This is more just a statement. I think having police in schools in general is questionable at
Yeah.
best. And so this policy, which I haven't had I did not read it in advance of this meeting, but I read the one from last time. I just didn't love.
Yeah, it should be the same, because this is the second and final reading, but yeah.
If you guys find stuff on policies, it's important for you to send me those questions, especially if we're going to be going to a second read. Like if there's, like you said, you read the first policy the first time, so if there's things we need to, that's why it's important to do the second read, so we can address those questions. As far as the law enforcement, I know the concerns on law enforcement, but it is, again, some of it, we have requirements under the Safe Schools Act, if you see in there, that we have to do. It's not where their police are coming, I just want to make it clear, I'm not sure what your thought process is, but they're not coming in to, come in and arrest kids and do things like that. It's just to make sure that we have a relationship with, it's ensuring through the Safe Schools Act that we do have relationships with our local, because they're going to be our first ones. I mean, we're 3 square mile district. Our local, they're going to be the first ones if we have an intruder or something happens. So they want to make sure that that relationship is there.
When they say relationship, what are they envisioning?
Like we do trainings. This summer, we're going to identify the building entries, but we're going to number the building entries. They're going to be part of that process because they need to know, okay, if we have to come into the building, all right, where is entry door number 2? So they need to know that. Or when we do the run, hide, fight, having them part of that run, hide, fight process, and when do they come in? When we do evacuation drills, they're there for us for that support a lot of times, to making sure that our kids are safe when we do evacuation drills going up and down the road. So making just our meetings last year that we had with them, that those are being done.
I think safety with, relationship with the police is very good. Our kids need to be exposed to the police officers, because right now, both sides have a stigma. They have a stigma about our kids, and our kids have a stigma about them. So if we could.
That's a great point. Tony, that's a great point, and
Very valid.
that's a very valid point. So that's even just another reason. And when we have Officer Coffey come into our buildings regularly, it's not he's coming in and this, and this. He's coming in and teaching lessons, reading the kids.
Yeah. And that right there is
having lunch with them.
That's the only officer I know,
Kids
know. They know Officer Coffey.
And we brought
He's
that up.
also the community, he is the community liaison officer of the whole department, so it's kind of his job too, but yeah.
If we had other relationships with, if we had relationships with other officers, I think that would make communication better. Parent organization could, they could actually tap into the parent organization.
So they know the parents and kids when they.
Right.
Literally, this morning I
Community-based.
came in, I was like, oh, I saw y'all yesterday with that dog.
Mhm.
Totally
And I'm
agree.
good for just calling somebody up, oh, okay, what did I call it, ghost face killer? With the goggles on, I said, okay.
And that was part of our conversation. We met with the police last year, and I think, were you now? Ed was there, I think Ed was there. When we met with the police last year, we'd like to meet with them as much as possible.
Yeah.
So that relationship is there, and we get more officers just to come by.
And
Say hi to
Parks and
the kids.
Recreation could use that relationship too. Sorry, I just thought about that.
Yeah.
I apologize.
So it would be worth it then maybe for us to think about, talking about approaching WPD to say, we love Coffey and everything he's doing, and could there be another officer at some point who the kids get to know on that kind of basis,
That's where I'm gonna go back to, police and schools are a dubious concept for me at best. So when we start talking about more officers, that's where you're gonna have me jump, not just off the train, but in the way.
Yeah, I don't think that they're asking for more officers at the school per se, as much as it's a thing of relationship it's relationship with the school. So for safety purposes, there's immediate reaction if there's an emergency, or if there's no immediate no problems and everything is all well.
Purposes, do we have information on what has been resolved by the police at the schools? Like, how which safety
Sometimes,
concerns?
and here's what I always say, and I have this conversation with some of my police officers. Is it about the number of arrests you have, or is it about being proactive to prevent future arrests? Is it about being proactive with our students and building positive relationships with them? So exactly like Latanya said is, so they get to communicate and work with each other. Would we complain if a fireman come in? Would we complain if if a dentist come in? It's another profession out there that is out there.
I think though, with the state of policing as it is, and the nature of policing being one of, they have absolute violence. They are an arm of violence for the state. And if we're gonna say that we want our kids to have a better relationship with them, what kind of message are we sending? I mean, so, I'm not saying we say distrust the police. I'm just saying I see an overall move towards, just police are cool, like I just, in my own daily life, like a messaging around like police are just, great and they're there to help you. And we know that that's not always the case. So like we want to be mindful of what kinds of relationships are we building here with officers. This policy is coming from PSBA and saying, look, this is putting you in compliance with all these state mandates and all of these things. Cool. Do we want to make our schools more police friendly, I guess, is what this is getting the question of now that we
I just
have
want the
this?
kids not to be scared if a police officer shows up and think, because of something that happened with a family member or they stayed on TV and not be afraid to say if something was going on with them or be afraid that they won't get shot too. I just want them to be comfortable to say, okay, police officers in the school.
And I want the police to be able to come to whatever situation in our community and say, okay, I know that this person is not typically in this behavior, but there may be an underlying issue.
But that officer can maybe know some of those kids because of the length of time that he spent in school, just getting to know them a little bit, playing basketball with them, whatever, I mean, to know that this kid is emotional. And so when I see him out in the community, I'll know to maybe I'll know something about that child as a human being instead of just like somebody acting out, I think it's a natural thing for kids and a lot of adults that your reaction when you see a cop is discomfort, maybe even fear. If we can help kids to not feel that way, I think it's productive for society. I don't know. I'm not talking about setting them up for anything, but I think coffee has had a really positive influence in our schools. The kids like him.
I'll reserve any more of my comments for not in a meeting.
Well, the security folks that are there, the kids love them. I mean, they know their names. I mean, the few times I've been to the school, I think that, and there's certainly officers who like us a lot. They even have kids helping with the committees for security. I don't know, I just think.
But I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But
I like that even in terms of our students going to Westinghouse, that they have, I don't know if this even makes sense to everybody, but if the school's children are going to Westinghouse, if there are any issues where they need a witness of some sort, that this is an officer that can speak to their defense. I don't know if that's something that even happens.
The places where I see problems is that when we have tighter relationships with police officers, students' individual rights are easier to violate. Like those lines get a little wonkier. Police are here, they're asking these questions, no parents are present, this, that, the other thing. I'm not a big fan of it, but yeah, again,
I like to hear everybody's.
It's a conversation worth having.
And I think what I'm hearing, because I know exactly where you're coming from. When we talk about public safety, the answer is not police, right? So I hear you.
And I understood that too, what you meant.
And I think that where this policy is coming from, what's the word I'm looking for, above us?
yeah, it's to say we are in compliance with these state regulations.
Yes, and so
that doesn't mean we have to take it a step further.
Yeah.
And make ourselves, never mind.
Lindsay,
Yes, thank you.
which
That's it.
again, I will jump in the way. I'm also listening in these meetings, and I think a lot of important. Stuff has been said about the relationship with police. I'm wondering how that could be sort of actioned in terms of, I mean, some of this is like they'll be invited to these things, but like how do, I guess what I think about is like, I feel anxiety when I see the police officers, like me, Anton, personally. I don't feel safer. I don't feel comforted. I feel like, why are you on my block, in my neighborhood, in my way, like harassing me?
Yeah.
Because I have had negative experiences. And I think a large part of that is, you know, due to some like neighborhood dynamics, and some of it is due to racial dynamics. We have a lot of Black kids in these schools who are picking up, because I'm from Wilkinsburg, who are picking up the same attitudes toward police. And so when we're saying like, let's build this relationship, well, how does that happen? I'm hearing individual examples of people, but like, that's different from inviting the police into your school on a regular basis. That doesn't necessarily build relationships. They've got police officers at Westinghouse, and all they do is stand by the door, as far as I can say. That surely, you know, presents a nice presence, but like kids get shot at that school.
Yeah.
So like they're not safer, and the police are just there as far as I can tell. So I think it does very much depend on how the relationship building goes and what we decide to invest in. And if they're gonna be here, like we're not getting rid of police anytime soon. So best to do it right, I think.
Yeah.
I think auto is what we, and again, I'm not sure, just my personal experience with Officer Coffee, but in a way, that's the way it should be done. You're working with kids, you're having conversations with kids, you're having lunch, you're building relationships, being positive. But I don't think ignoring it and doing nothing is going to help the situation either. You know, but
Yeah, I think at Westinghouse, those officers are there. I think part of their role is security, you know, at the front doors of the building. Whereas Coffee being in our schools, he's not there to provide any security. He's there to get to know kids and have kids get to know him. But he's not there in any security function. I guess he would do what he had to do if something happened. But I think that cops in those two buildings are there for different roles, I think.
I'm not a fan of policing either. I'm a fan of relationship building. And I understand where you're coming from.
So do you read this policy as like more police in the schools? Is that ultimately what you're saying?
My recollection was the language was kind of vague, and it sounded like we wanted to invite them in at a number of different times. It feels longer than the last time I read it, but it felt like sort of a general series of invitations for them to come into the building from my reading, which is why I didn't like it, because there was none of the specificity that we're talking about.
I think that specificity might come out of safety and security meetings, right? So like Dr. Joe mentioned specifically, like when we number those entrances and exits and put those on file with the police, that helps for them to respond to incidences like an active shooter or something.
Trainings for that, when there's like say there's a fire and they're coming out the building, like them having clarity on their relation to, I wouldn't even necessarily say like the students, it's their relationship to covering the school district property, if you will, in the borough. Because
I think if what we want is more clarity on when they come, what their purpose is, that kind of thing, that can come out of that safety and security meeting too. Yeah, I think this policy is intentionally vague about when and where.
It leaves a lot of flexibility, because if you look at one part in there, the memorandum of understanding may specify other matters related to crime prevention mutually agreed upon by superintendent and local police department that has jurisdiction over the school property. So it leaves a lot of it leaves that flexibility to us as a board to develop parameters to work with them on how we see and how you see feels going to be best for our community.
Yeah, exactly right. The policy doesn't say anything about.
There's nothing about
how frequently cops should police should be in the school. It just encourages them to have that understanding with our local
That we have
police.
this conversation that we're
Sure.
having right now.
Yeah,
And even when we're thinking about this piece with prevention, I wouldn't say the police department, right? I would say we should be collaborating with Cure Violence, who is actually doing the prevention work in the community that the
Yeah.
kids,
These
you
other
know.
entities.
Yeah, but they
actually
should,
know the community.
then that's potentially the relationship with Cure Violence and the police department, not necessarily to prevent, because there's something going on, so the police don't need to come here, but Cure Violence has been here working with the family, the kid, but those are the details in an MOU that we get to decide collectively.
Yeah.
Like, this is very much,
The MOU comes from us as well.
yes. This isn't the MOU.
Right, so that's.
This is the policy saying we need to do that. We need to be clear that if a fire happens or if an unfortunate intruder comes in,
Right.
these are the steps, you all have an understanding with your local police department, emergency services,
So we're all
how
on the
we
same
handle
page.
that.
Right. And that's, yeah. So when it comes to those specific, like, this is when they're coming in, where they're coming in, that would be more along the lines of that MOU.
Hi, what you think?
Okay.
Okay, and so just the other thing, I'm just looking at, I think this is about on-campus behavior, of students. Bullet one is involves, threatens, makes likely violence or use of force. When I read this policy, I'm thinking a student threatens some teacher, which sometimes requires a police response and sometimes doesn't. Do you have any, what's the balance?
Policy 11.3.
now which part of it?
I'm looking at policy 218, student discipline. I see. And
Where's that one?
I was reading the footnotes, right? Because I like,
That's not even on you.
That makes sense. If you scroll down to here, to the footnote.
right. Okay. So I got lost in the footnotes. Sorry about that.
No.
What am I thinking? I'm thinking, do I want to abstain from voting on this or not? And I'll figure it out before it's time.
Is that it for we have more policies?
Yes, policy 227, controlled substances. Board action is requested to approve the first reading of policy 227, controlled substances.
This is the policy.
Discussion?
Student.
Policy 110, instructional supplies. Board action is requested to approve the first reading of policy 110, instructional supplies. Discussion? Policy 113.2, volume BI, 2020 behavior support. Board action is requested to approve the first reading of policy 113.3, volume BI, 2020 behavior support. Discussion?
Just a question, is it dot 3 or dot 2?
Oh, that is a good question.
Where?
It looks like it's a typo in the recommended action,
113?
because everywhere else it says 132. 1132.
Am I the right one?
Yes.
It says 113.
Item 6, Joe.
Item 6. Oh,
There's a discrepancy between what's on the left column and what's in the board action motion itself.
And then you have 113.
it's 113.2 should be that one, 113.2, so that board action should be first reading of policy 113.2. Probably got mixed up with the second.
Correct.
113.3. So it was a typo on on policy, on the first one, number 6.
Nice.
Policies, the number 6 should be policy 113.2. Number 7 should be policy 11.3. It's just a typo on the one.
On the recommended.
Yeah.
Action. See what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, actually, in the recommended action, I get it, okay.
Any discussion about behavior support?
Yes, is there a reporting, qualification for this? I don't really have any issue with the policy, making sure I'm on the right one. The policy around behavior support, yeah. But the timing bit is vague, which I imagine is purposeful. I guess what I'm thinking is if a student is held in seclusion, which I don't even think you can do in jail for so long anymore, after a certain amount of time, like, is there a reporting requirement? So like 20 minutes or more or something?
In my committee discussion, we discussed that. That's part of what Ms. Mosso is checking into. Remember, these last 4 or 5 policies are first reads. They're only first reads. So there is going to be edits, and that was one of the discussions on the seclusion that she's going to look into.
Okay.
They're only first reads. They're not approved. Once you approve these, this is just approval of the first reads of the PSBA recommended policy. Matt might even have some more recommendations, so we'll have it. And sometimes we might even have a third read, but the next curriculum committee meeting will be doing another reading.
So the time to
I mean, the
actually
policy.
focus in on any edits would be the next policy committee meeting,
Correct.
right? So that by the time they come back to the board, they would
All
be.
the ones that are on their first reading, all the first reading ones. There are some that are in their second reading.
There's only, the first 3 is only the second and final reading that you're looking at. The rest are all just first readings.
Okay.
Great. Can I then say, I'm not sure I'm gonna make it to that policy meeting, if I'm being honest, but for the people who are, someone is already looking into the timing. I imagine there's science around like, what is a very safe amount of timing and what's not. I don't know it off the top of my
Ms.
head.
Foster's already looking
But
into
she's
that.
looking into all that.
Yeah, because those all fall a lot of these will fall under, as you can see, under Ms. Mosso, school psychologist. So they're part of those discussions because they have questions too, like, just like you do. And that was the same question you just had is a question that she had.
It's the first time we read it too at the policy meeting. So we're reading it and disseminating it and then putting everyone together before the next policy meeting to bring edits and suggestions.
Yeah.
Policy 113.3, volume 3, 2015 screening and evaluation for students with disabilities. Board action is requested to approve the first reading of policy 113.3, volume 3, 2015 screening and evaluation for students with disabilities. Discussion?
Do we still use, Ms. Mosso, the screener that we bought 3 or 4 years ago?
Last year, we just purchased the Dows Plus, which is an online battery of tests and things that Mrs. Pricer, the school psychologist who's here tonight, recommended for us to get us current on all the different protocols and assessments that are available to us when we're screening students. So we're basically, I would say, about 90% online.
Yeah, it opened up a lot of academic, cognitive, behavior, autism, developmental delay. Gave me some more options for looking at our early intervention students coming in, and also some adaptive rating scales that we would use. I actually just used one for a student who's at a placement school, and then some things for our crossroads staff who are speech and language, OT, and PT. So it gave us just a whole library of different things that we can use for any type of potential disability that students might have. So a lot of that is interactive on iPads and is a lot quicker and for assessment. So it cuts down on administrative time, and I think gives us a little bit probably more valid results because the student wants to participate and, you know, a little bit more of that engaging assessment period. And then, yeah, there are some other things that we can do at the kindergarten registration that we're looking at to do some screenings with some of those potential kindergarten students that are looking to get on board here. So
Sounds way better than what we had.
yeah, I'm excited. So thank you for all that.
That just sounds way more comprehensive than anything we had in the past. Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Policy 204.1, no credit attendance. Board action is requested to delete policy 204.1, no credit attendance. Discussion? Okay, now we get to vote. Section G.
Did we come to a resolution for the ones we need to pull?
Do we?
I didn't think you were pulling it.
I
Oh.
What did I miss?
Okay.
I think the only thing we have is Anton abstaining
From
on Naviance.
H4. Okay, so this is section G. This is the personnel items. That's going to be, I'm going to read it now. Board action is requested to approve the following consent items for section G. This is the resignations, new hires, and leave requests.
So moved, Ashley.
I'll second, Ed.
Yes, and Tom.
So yeah, Charmaine.
Motion passes. Section 8, board action is requested to approve the following consent items for section H. Conference field trips, professional development workshop requests, Hagerty Writing Program professional development, Hagerty Writing Program, Navient CCLR, ESS teacher coaching contract, and a budget transfer.
I'll second.
Charmaine, second.
I think you did.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Keep showing section.
It says that, I thought it says section H.
It's real
It
slow.
says section H for me.
Yeah, it says it like that there.
She doesn't have any.
Does anybody have a window?
We haven't opened the voting yet.
Oh, I see, that's not.
Yes, I'm moving. What does it do when you?
Choosing section 8,
Okay.
but mode. It's the film section. That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
But did it take it on?
Yeah, click on it, see if it does it, yeah.
No, no, it's stuck.
I think it's, yeah, it did.
So I'll bet you PSBA doesn't let you separate them with 1, 2, 3.
Well, it's not PSP, it's the program.
It's the board.
No, I mean the program, that's what I mean, the board.
So just for the record, I mean, that's, instead of trying to fix that, conduct a voice vote on
Section H.
J2
Yeah.
and J3.
We're gonna do that. So we're gonna conduct a voice vote for what I just read. The board action is requested to approve the following consent items, section H. Amanda Barber, yes.
Just do it all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstains?
I'm abstaining from Naviance part.
Ashley, were you a yes? 'Cause
it passes either way, so I'll just abstain from the vote to keep it clean.
Motion passes. Section I, policies. Board action is requested to approve the following consent items for section I. It was policy 800.1, policy 801, policy 805.1, policy 227, policy 110, policy 113.2, 113.3, and 204.1.
So moved.
Second, Dennis.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Motion passes. Now we get to go on to resolutions. AIU Program of Services Budget. The board action is requested to approve the proposed 2024-2025 Allegheny Intermediate Unit Program of Services budget in the amount of $2,263,093. The Allegheny County AIU 3 school district's total contribution to the budget is $1,936,965. The Wilkinsburg Borough School District's contribution to the program of services budget is estimated to be $13,401.79. The district's final withholding allocation will be based on the district aid ratio and weighted average daily membership. The withholding allocations will be determined by the Pennsylvania Department of Education sometime after July 1st, 2024.
And I did give you guys ahead of time, on your desk, you should have the program of services budget, the handout, and then the presentation along with it in the back. You'll see the slides.
Basically, all this is their price sheet for next year, what they're gonna charge for their various services, and then an estimate of what our share of that would be, basically.
And you can see every
We were
other,
not voting on the consent, by the way, so
yeah, this is a good,
we could get,
and you can see every other schools.
if we could get a
need
motion,
second, yeah.
So moved, Ashley.
I'll second,
thank you.
and then what,
Go back to
what
discussion.
what I said.
That's my fault.
No, you're fine. We'll get it smoother next time.
So do we need voice, do we need, oh,
I think this
round
should
the
go right
window.
Yeah. We're doing all this consent next. I'm done with that.
So the cost to us is 13,400.
Right.
Yeah, but we're just not doing it. It's just too much every month. So to talk about them, everything, I'll get through it on top. Right.
Yes, and Connor.
Yes, your name.
Motion passes.
Are you signed in?
Yeah.
Printer action is requested for the administration to send a letter of termination of services. I'm sorry, did I say that? Board action is requested for the administration to send a letter of termination of services to AMCOM, and First Citizens Bank for printer copy services supported by March 31st.
So move that.
Second, Dennis.
We were open to have a recommendation, final recommendation, but we still don't have a final recommendation of who we're gonna go with, but we at least gotta get that letter.
Gotcha.
Yes, your name.
Yes, and Todd.
Here we go with,
Motion passes. Board action is requested to approve a summer musical theater camp at a cost not to exceed $3,000 and will be paid by ESSER funds.
so move that.
Second.
Sorry. It was, and of course,
This is great.
Mr. Van approached us, can I do this?
Yes.
So,
This is really great.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. We're lucky to have him. I'm so glad he's doing this.
and I did
I hope
check,
it can be an annual thing.
yeah, and Beth Ann said, we can use ESSER funds for this as well.
That's great.
Even if we couldn't, this is the kind of thing, for that amount of money, this is the kind of thing we should be doing for our kids.
Yes.
Right.
It's as much a part of the summer school as anything else that we do, really.
Tickets go on sale to the play next month and
That'll be, yeah, superintendent.
And Richard, yes.
Oh, I
yes,
don't think I have a window. Wait, I'm on the wrong tab somewhere. Here it is.
There's no sound.
Charmaine?
Yes.
Motion passes. Board action is requested to exonerate Berkheimer Tax Administrator Inc. from the further collection on the 2023 real estate taxes and to authorize the Director of Finance and Operations to provide the information on unpaid real estate taxes to Maiello, Brungo, and Maiello Association Limited so that the collection of delinquent real estate taxes may proceed. The amount is $1,901,792.61 at the base amount plus penalty of $190,184.66 to total $2,091,977.27.
So moved, Ed.
Second, Ashley. Any discussion?
That's what's her name.
Don't you get this? Who else doesn't like you?
What's that? I thought we have a good relationship. We can talk about that.
Abstain, Anton.
Motion passes. Board action is requested to approve special education due process settlement agreement as discussed in executive session.
So moved, Dennis.
Second, Ashley.
Yes, Anton.
Yes, Charmaine.
Motion passes. Board action is requested to approve contracting with Right Connections LLC to write grants to support the Kelly renovation project at a cost not to exceed $45,000 pending solicitor approval.
So moved, Ed.
Second. Sorry. Second.
Matt, we'll have some edits.
100%.
No, we got some more edits after.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot of them.
That's for Charmaine.
That's really right, isn't it?
Yes.
Something that you did.
Board action is requested to approve the agreement with Hofstadter auctioneers to plan and conduct a sale of identified contents in the former high school. This will be paid for from the general fund at a cost not to exceed $7,500.
Anybody wants to motion it?
Nobody wants to motion it? Nobody? So moved, Amanda.
Second, Amanda.
There's discussion.
All right, just give you guys some feedback on this from the last meeting. I'm just concerned with the timing of this possible sale of the high school. So Ed Rosiak did meet with Mr. Tillman last week and he met with Mr. Hofstadter yesterday. And he apologized it didn't happen sooner. Mr. Tillman, everything that is bolted or built into the building should stay. Anything that can be picked up can be auctioned off, chairs, desks, copiers, refrigerators, wheels, etc. All equipment in the kitchen stays, sinks, serving line, walking polars, and so on, which is disappointing because we probably wanted to auction that one off.
Wait a minute, who's the what?
Well, we can make the adjustment on it. So that could be something we can talk to. This is just a meeting. I'm giving you a summary of the meeting, what Mr. Tillman would like. Lockers, doors, lighting, things like that. Meeting with Mr. Hofstadter, the auctioneer. looked over some of the areas, explained what was mentioned, school explained what was mentioned above to make sure that he knew the buyer's expectations of what would stay. He will bring a team in to tag everything. If we see anything, if our group sees anything that should not be tagged, it would be removed. The tag would be removed from the auction. So we can say, you can, like if he tags it and we say, hey, we don't want that to be auctioned off, we can do that. I wanted to get Ed's thoughts on it because Ed's the one who met with both. Is it going to be worth it? I want to make sure, is it going to be worth it? He thinks it will be. And again, it all depends on the buyers that we have too. It all depends on the buyers we have. Ed's recommendation, Ed Rosiak's recommendation is to move forward with doing the auction. Let me see. Some other comments that he had with Mr. Tillman was his plans are to incorporate items in the high school build out, trying to keep a picture of what the building was. I was very excited working with them. This is from Ed, and seeing their thoughts on the drawings. Also feel happy the building is going to be saved. So he feels pretty good about it. And Mr. Hostetter feels like, we'll get the $75 back. But again, I know you're going to, or $7,500, thank you. So we can also, for something tagged, I did offer up 2 site visits to everybody over the last month. Some of us went through the buildings as well and tried to identify some things. But we can also, according to this, we can also untag anything if we want to do another walkthrough. My concern is if we wait another month, he has personnel that he's got to bring in to do this. He's got to get things on the schedule. And the 9 months, I think it was 9 months with Mr. Tillman, is probably, August? I'm guessing, July. So we would be pushing it if we push this off another month.
My concern is that we find a mechanism, I don't know what it is, and maybe you addressed this while I was in the corner, to be sure that the community and alumni and make current students or families, whatever, have some kind of a chance to have first dibs at some stuff or a walkthrough or something like that. I mean, if we have former football players who would like, or a cheerleader who would like something and they want to buy it, I'm not talking about free, find some way for that to happen other than them just going to auction. Everybody's looking at me like I shouldn't.
Well,
No, I think
we could do that, but my suggestion then would be we don't do the auction. That would probably be my suggestion. Or we put it off another month, but I can't guarantee.
Why would you say not do the auction just because somebody else wants it?
Well, Hostetter's got to make, Hostetter's got to make some money. As we take more out of there, is it going to be worth, are we going to make that 7,500 back? I could, I'm hoping we can make a couple thousand.
So what if we?
Or we could postpone it and hope that we could get them in and then come up with a plan on that.
I think it would be way more than a couple thousand. It's just my hunch on what.
Same here.
Yeah. I'd just like to find some way for the community that paid for all that stuff over all this time to be able to have some bit of memorabilia from the building, which could be housing a year from now, 2 years from now, that's all. I didn't go, not me personally, but I'd like to think of those as artifacts that could mean something to somebody. Could we just go through, can we get a room and declare certain items not up for auction? Yeah. We could have a couple board members walk through with Ed and say, we think people might want these things. We'd be guessing at it, but it's better than nothing. And then have a room reserved for Wilkinsburg residents.
He said we can, even after he tags it, we can go in there and untag whatever we want to untag.
When, do you know when the tagging would occur?
No.
I don't want to belittle that.
He has to get his personnel together, the group of people, he's got to get a group of people.
But probably, we probably have 2 weeks.
Oh, no, we got longer than 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So we could get a couple board members and somebody from the community to walk through and identify some stuff, say this, and ask maintenance to put it all in one room, lock it up and say, this stuff is not for auction.
That would be a good job for PO.
Sorry? I missed that.
I think it would be a good advertising, like a promotion for,
PR, she said that would be good PR, is that what you said?
No, for the parent
Oh,
organization.
yeah, right, exactly.
A draw for the parent.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, we would just want to sit down logistically and think about how that would work. How do we verify? Are they alumni, or is it just somebody coming, you know, from Westmoreland County
Yeah,
to
'cause
grab
people love
something?
the.
So we're gonna-
We'd have to be realistic, we'll have to keep that selection group a little bit small. Maybe somebody from the parent group who's also an alum,
The
something
lady
like
that
that.
was just here.
Yeah.
What was it, Wilkinsburg Forum, whatever?
I was gonna say like, identify 2 to 3 alumni and whatever board members wanna go, and I would say go. Just
Okay.
go do that.
Yeah.
All right, I'll jump, I'll work
You
with,
can't open that kind of thing up to the public, cause
No.
again, then the auction house is not making any money, like,
I hear you.
identify 3 alumni, board members, admin,
All right,
team.
is this
go in.
worth it, or am I just barking up?
We will have somebody that'll want
Yeah.
something as a.
Sorry.
You reached out to us already and said,
Like you was mentioning, we wanted chairs.
I mean,
Yeah,
Are still chairs in there?
Yes,
There still should be
I
out
think
there.
there is
they
upstairs.
should be.
If there's any with
Right, somebody's
it should not go to the hospital. If it's the time, if there is something that says Wilkinsburg School District, that's it.
That's a rule of thumb there, yeah.
That's a good rule of thumb right there.
Yeah.
Thing that has our
But
logo.
like refrigerators, tables, chairs. No, but like if they're like, I know it's.
Okay,
so that's how.
Let's be clear, most of the items we want to give is gonna be tables, chairs.
Well, like the
refrigerators.
signatures, we don't wanna get rid of those.
No,
Right. I'm grabbing one of them.
I want one of them too.
Sounds like Ed.
And for those of us, I know those of us that have been around will want one,
Yeah,
yeah.
right, we had board sitting on that.
That's a platform fundraising.
Okay, so fine, so I'll talk to you about that and we'll
yeah,
make
we
it.
can do that.
According to what the board
That's
officer
a great
said.
idea.
What are you doing in that, maybe this is another place there, with the railroad place, that train station? Is that or something?
Sorry.
Was it memorabilia?
No, that's already.
You're supposed to put shops in there, but that ain't, that, you gotta talk to the city,
Yeah,
so.
right, exactly. Okay,
Are they gonna put a valuation on things if it's gonna be an actual auction, you know, like this clump of chairs?
The way I understand, it's gonna be a virtual auction. It'll be like a virtual auction. So, but I don't think there'll be, if the valuation is there, I don't know if I've done virtual auction, it usually starts out at really small price numbers.
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, Tom's yes.
I think we'll get our 7,500 back. That was my main concern.
Yeah.
But I agree with Ed. I think we can get a lot more. We're a little optimistic.
Yeah, 'cause it's right up there by itself.
That's what I'm thinking, but if it's an auction,
Yes.
Who
Why
we
didn't
had
you vote
better.
click yet?
Yes.
Okay. there's-
Motion passes.
I keep having something. Yeah.
Any public comments on non-agenda items?
Me. I'd like to introduce this important correspondence into the record. It's from Ms. Barry's class. It's addressed to Mr. Ed, and it's to thank me for reading to them. Me, the talking horse. So you remember that TV show? I'm showing my age. So this is all the thanks, thank Turner, immediate, this is for reading to the kids on Saturday. And speaking of books, I have a donation, and the president will send the email of thanks to Dr. Cass and Dr. Yikes. Larkin, two people who, I know they donated, Amanda Gorman's first book to the district. And so this is another copy, a copy of her new book, which I'm gonna give to Summer to place in one of our libraries, if that's okay with everybody, because it's for ages 4 to 8, and I'm not sure which building it would go to. We probably ought to have one in both libraries, but so, and we will thank those two women for their generosity and for thinking of our kids.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Board member comments. Announcements, I guess. I don't know. Did I have an announcement?
I can't remember at this point. I
You can
think
say whatever you want during this time.
I mean, you know, whatever you want. Eric.
Good time.
The advocacy day to Harrisburg is May 8th.
Yeah.
And I just sent you guys, some slides from the voucher presentation. Okay, sorry about that, that was really hard.
I think that's when I'm out there with the Pittsburgh leadership group.
April 20th is the Great American Cleanup here in Wilkinsburg. I still don't have a contact on who to sign up with for that. I
Yeah.
apologize, but I hear that there's gonna be a cleanup that day.
Normally you meet at the Borough Building in the morning, everybody, you know.
Or DPW, or even.
It was the Borough Building last year.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that starts at 11, I think.
Because they're about to have to knock that down.
One of, in the past year, we've all went to the DPW, because that's what they gave us, bags, gloves.
Yeah, they did at the Borough Building last year.
The next Wilkinsburg Parent Organization meeting is at Kelly, Wednesday, April 3rd at 6 PM. And I think that's all the announcements that I have. Anybody else?
John, tell them about the tickets.
April 30th at what time?
I don't have the information. You have the information. How
At
did you get it?
6
I don't have it.
Oh, the musical is going to be May 3rd and 4th.
Well, I was gonna give that.
May 3rd is at 6:30, May 4th is at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Tickets are $8. They go down to the Benham on May 23rd for a 12:30 performance. I think I got it all.
Are you gonna send that to us, please?
Where can they get the tickets?
Oh, dang, I forgot.
Can we get them at the?
You can get them at the door, but I can do them on my family too. Yeah.
Be like a
They can sell the next week. The 2nd or 3rd, they can sell. Yeah.
And they're still doing that, chocolate sale with Sarah's.
I think it ends this week.
Yeah. Give me the money.
You can go online and do it too.
So yeah, I did see the code on one.
Yeah, you can go and do it right there, so it's fit for your work.
Excusal of absent board members. Absent board members, your action is requested to excuse the following board members from the legislative meeting. That is Michael Rhodes and Monica Garcia. So moved. The second, Amanda.
Yes.
And it's on road.
Is this the vote to adjourn?
It's the absent board member.
We don't use them.
Did, did she notify you?
Yes, she did.
I'll wait till we. Well, I guess technically a board member who misses 2 legislative meetings unexcused, they can be voted on.
Correct, that's what happens.
I'm a yes to
You
excuse.
can put me
that's
down,
fine.
because I signed out.
Yes.
Yes, and Tom.
Yeah, the only way to not get out of, get out of jail free is if you notify
Well, Tanya's
the
on.
president in advance.
Motion passes. Board action is requested to adjourn the meeting.
That wasn't always the case.
I move.
I'd like to table
It
this
was
till next
actually
month.
the case, they just, some people didn't enforce it.
All in favor?
Aye.
What was
No.
it?
How much time do you need
I don't know
in
who seconded
advance?
it. Who
Like, 5
seconded
minutes,
it?
okay?
Did somebody step?
I think it's anything.
Say 24 hours, but that called me, the family meeting, so, we the bullshit there. And for the record, back in the day, I've had 2 people do it.
Was there?
They couldn't make it and they still weren't approved. Or they're